plump figure and speaks softly. Although she is in her 50s, she looks no more than 40. She is still charming and is very popular among the men in the factory. From a retired old man in his 70s to a bachelor in his 30s, all of them are the meat in Wang Xiuhua's bowl, and they are very passionate about each other. Wan Qiqi found the tractor factory and sneaked in with Manzai. There were many ginkgo trees planted in the factory, so it was effortless for them to get information, and they soon obtained more complete information.
Wow.
Wang Xiuhua is such a capable person. Regular mistresses and countless casual affairs. Moreover, the three regular mistresses all know each other's existence, and they always tacitly stagger their trysts, and they get along very harmoniously. Wang Xiuhua is very popular in the factory. From the factory director to the old janitor, men and women, young and old, everyone has a very good relationship with her. Even the mistress's wife became best friends with Wang Xiuhua. They were so close that even Wan Qiqi, who came from the future, was dumbfounded and amazed. Wang Xiuhua had a lover who worked in the factory's security department. He was in his 40s and strong. He was the lover she was most satisfied with. Another lover's cousin had a good relationship with her, so she introduced the lover in the security department to the cousin of another lover, and all of them were very satisfied. Wan Qiqi was confused by the news reported by Gossip Ginkgo. This was no longer a simple triangle relationship, but a complicated four-corner relationship. No, it was a five-corner relationship. She had to sort it out. Wan Qiqi took out a pen and paper from her bag and marked all the characters that appeared. Wang Xiuhua, Mistress A, Mistress B, and Mistress C. Among them, Mistress C is a bachelor, Mistress A's physical condition is slightly inferior, and Mistress B is strong and healthy. Then, Mistress B got in touch with Mistress A's cousin through Wang Xiuhua. According to Ginkgo, Lover C and Lover A's cousin seemed to have hooked up, and it was also Wang Xiuhua who introduced them. Wan Qiqi was listening to Ginkgo gossip while writing and drawing on paper. Looking at this pile of complicated relationships, she had 3 black lines on her forehead. Older generation are so exciting. She is now somewhat doubtful of Wang Xiuhua's identity. She is playing so wildly, so she should not be a Japanese soldier, right? Almost all the Japanese devils she had dealt with during this period lived in fear, being cautious and low-key, and absolutely dared not engage in matters between men and women. Even though Gao Yufei was married, he killed his wife. However, Wang Xiuhua lived a comfortable life and had many concubines in her harem. Not to mention, in the 1970s, even in later generations, her behavior was too eye-catching. Is she really the eel that even Pei Yuan is afraid of? Wan Qiqi was a little skeptical. According to common sense, people who do undercover work would not be as ostentatious and high-profile as Wang Xiuhua, as if they were afraid of not being discovered. This was not something that a good agent would do at all. She also asked the trees in the tractor factory, but none of them noticed anything abnormal with Wang Xiuhua. Gao Yufei and Tanaka Kenichi were both very cautious, but they still revealed their flaws. For example, Gao Yufei would speak his hometown dialect under a tree alone, and Tanaka Kenichi would secretly make sushi at home. This is because people are not robots, and after being away from home for many years, it is impossible not to miss home, and it is inevitable that some flaws will be revealed. But Wang Xiuhua was flawless. She spoke fluent Tanzhou dialect, even with a slight accent from the nearby county. It was obvious that she was not a native of Tanzhou, but someone who had migrated from a small county. Wang Xiuhua's file states that her hometown is a county town next to Tanzhou. The accent matches perfectly, and this woman can also cook authentic hometown food. It would be difficult for someone who is not a native of the area to make such authentic flavors. Wan Qiqi got Wang Xiuhua's file. There was not much content, but it described this woman's life clearly. She got married once when she was 20 years old, but her husband died in the war. She had no children and never remarried. She has been single ever since. However, Wang Xiuhua's private life has always been rich. After her husband died, she lived with a man who worked in a bank. She had no worries about food and clothing, and this man also taught her accounting. Over the years, Wang Xiuhua has been surrounded by a constant stream of men, including foreign compradors, government officials, police officers, military officers, doctors, etc., all of whom are prominent men in society. 10 years ago, Wang Xiuhua relied on the relationship of a mistress to come to the tractor factory to work as an accountant, and has been working there ever since. Wan Qiqi still admires this kind of woman. Putting aside the moral point of view, a woman like Wang Xiuhua can live a good life at all times and will never compromise herself. So, could such a woman really be the cold-blooded and vicious Agent Eel? Wan Qiqi and the trees near Wang Xiuhua's residence chatted for a while, but still found nothing. She was undecided, so she ran to find Pei Yuan and told him about her discovery, hoping that Pei Yuan would give an order to arrest Wang Xiuhua. She still believed in the information she had found. Holmes told Watson that when you have eliminated all the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how unbelievable, is the fact. In Tanzhou City, the only person who matches the information is Wang Xiuhua. Wang Xiuhua? She's a female, has a chaotic private life, has 3 regular mistresses, and has had countless casual affairs. Pei Yuan looked at the information submitted by Wan Qiqi, but couldn't read any further after reading just a few lines. Shaowan, the information I gave you clearly states that Eel is a man and is not interested in women. He likes to be alone. Even his colleagues have never seen his true face. His whereabouts are very mysterious. How is this Wang Xiuhua you found similar to Eel? Pei Yuan asked in a nice voice. You said that no one has ever seen the true face of Eel, so how can you be sure that he is a man? Can't he be a woman disguised as a man? Wan Qiqi asked back confidently. Pei Yuan choked and began to reflect. It did make sense. No one had ever seen the eel's true appearance, so how could they be sure that he was a man? Even if Eel is a woman, what she did violated the taboos of agents. You have to know that Eel is an excellent agent that Sakura country is proud of. She has caused us great losses. She is not an ordinary person. Pei Yuan's tone was very serious. Before he came to 759, he also did underground work. Although he had never dealt with eels directly, his master who introduced him to the industry, an excellent old underground worker, was exposed because of eels. Less than a month before the Japanese surrender, his master died. He was not able to see the Japanese surrender with his own eyes, nor was he able to see the founding of New China, which was his master's dream. Pei Yuan swore that he would catch an eel in his lifetime, bring the blood of the darn Japanese devils, and go to his master's grave to pay tribute to him and comfort his master's spirit in heaven. Because she is not an ordinary person, she behaves in a unique way, and she does the opposite. The effect is really achieved. If you don't believe that she is an eel, others certainly won't believe it either. Wang Xiuhua has achieved the goal of hiding in the crowd. The more Wan Qiqi analyzed, the more he felt that Wang Xiuhua was an eel. But if Pei Yuan didn't give the order, she couldn't arrest Wang Xiuhua. There were too many rules now, and it was very restrictive and troublesome. Pei Yuan frowned slightly. It sounded somewhat reasonable, but he was the leader and could not act as arbitrarily as Wan Qiqi. Once he gave the order to capture, it would be fine if he caught the right one, but if he caught the wrong one, it would alert the real eel hiding in the dark, and it might be impossible to catch it again. If she is really an eel, she will definitely show flaws. No one can be flawless. Shaowan, keep an eye on her for a few more days. Pei Yuan decided to keep an eye on it for 3 more days. Wan Qiqi frowned and said unhappily, You guys are too slow in doing things. After 3 days, the daylily will be cold. Can't you just arrest the person and interrogate him directly? If we catch the wrong one, the real eel will run away. He has been hiding for 10 years. We finally have news of him this time. We can't let him run away again. Pei Yuan didn't dare to make any mistakes. He and Eel had a blood feud, and he must catch this jerk. All right, Wan Qiqi agreed and said, No matter what happens in 3 days, I will catch him. Okay, I'll send someone to assist you. Don't act rashly. Eel's knife skills are very powerful. Pei Yuan reminded.
No.
Wan Qiqi nodded. She was not crazy enough to challenge a kung fu master alone. With Pei Yuan, She went to see the little devil who had talked to Eel before. He used to be Eel's subordinate, but he had never seen Eel's true face and had only talked to him in the dark. The Japanese soldier's name was Nakamura Duojiang, and he had just been captured by Tyrannosaurus. The reason for his exposure was very simple. It was just because Tyrannosaurus was in the crowd, looked at him for a second longer, and suddenly rushed over to capture him. Even Director Mu didn't know how Tyrannosaurus was so sure that the other party was a Japanese. After all, Nakamura Taki had lived in China for many years, and his speech and behavior were almost the same as those of a Chinese, so it was difficult to tell that he was a Japanese. In fact, Louis just found an extremely ugly skull in the vast crowd. Recently, because Wan Chichi fell in love with pelvis, he also became interested in bones. When he went out, he would subconsciously stare at the back of passers-by's heads to study the beauty or ugliness of the skulls. Watching for a long time, Louis came to a conclusion: 9 out of 10 Japanese devils are ugly, and very few of them are pretty. So, when Louis accidentally saw the ugly back of Nakamura Taki's head that day, his first reaction was that he was a Japanese devil. With the idea of killing 1,000 by mistake rather than letting one go, he arrested the man and prepared to take him back for interrogation. Nakamura Te has not had an easy life in recent years. She has lost contact with the eels, has no funding, can't even afford meat, and is always worried about being caught. Was already frightened, and after being caught by Liu Yi, he became even more panicked, which aroused Liu Ye's suspicion. He took him back and used his unique secret technique to interrogate him, and found that he was indeed a Japanese devil. He also got the latest news about the eel. Wan Chichi talked with Nakamura Duojiang for a while. Manzai was there too. When he saw Nakamura Duojiang for the first time, he had only one word in mind: ugly. Take one more look, and 2 words: too ugly. The head looks like it was pressed by a door, and the front and back are equally flat. Even if such bones are given to her for free, she wouldn't want them. Nakamura Te didn't know much about the situation. The only useful information was that he had talked to the eel before. When you talk to eel, is he a man or a woman? Wan Chichi asked. Of course it's a man. How can a great eel be a woman? Nakamura Taki was angry. Eel was his most admired role model. How could it be a woman? Let me tell you a secret. Your great eel is a hermaphrodite. It can be male or female. Do you understand? Wan Chichi was actually not sure whether eel was a hermaphrodite. She was just guessing and deliberately provoking Nakamura Duojiang. Why do you think those darn Japanese devils deserve to be called great? Nakamura Te's face changed drastically, and he immediately flew into a rage, cursing. Baka. Duck you, you're still not obedient after being caught. Eat a handful of it. Wan Chichi's face turned cold, and she took out a staff from her bag. It still had a cherry blossom pink bow, and the jade color was even more translucent. She grabbed the staff and hit Nakamura Duojiang's head hard 3 times. Nakamura Takashi gritted his teeth, didn't make a sound, and stared at her, refusing to surrender. Yo, you still don't accept it? Take another whip from me. Wan Chichi put back the staff and took out a bone whip from her bag. She had just made it and hadn't tested its effect yet, so it was a good opportunity to try it out on this little devil. Nakamura Te was whipped hard several times. At first he gritted his teeth and endured it, but later he could not bear it anymore and started howling. Someone was passing by in the corridor outside and heard the screams, but no one cared. If they were in a bad mood, they would go and vent their anger on the Japanese. It was a normal thing to do as long as they didn't kill anyone. Nakamura Te was beaten to the point of losing her temper, and under Wan Chichi's powerful bone whip, she was forced to admit that eel was a hermaphrodite who is neither fair nor female. Woo-woo. Eels are hermaphrodites, neither fair nor feminine. Woo-woo. Nakamura Te's faith collapsed, and he lay on the ground crying. He hated it so much that the eel, whom he respected the most, was humiliated by the hateful Chinese. Wan Chichi put away the bone whip, took Manzai and Mama Jiang with her, and continued to stare at Wang Xiuhua. On the 3rd day of surveillance, Wang Xiuhua lived her life as usual, working during the day and meeting with her lover at night. She had been with Lover B for the past 2 nights, making love in Wang Xiuhua's house. Wang Xiuhua has a small house in the alley. She has a very good relationship with her neighbors and is very enthusiastic. She is very active in donating money and effort. Her neighbors all give her a thumbs up when they mention her. It was getting dark, and Wan Qiqi planned to watch for another hour before calling it a day and going home. Lu Yi is not at home. He has been on business trips every few days recently and is so busy that he can hardly be seen. Wan Qiqi, Manzai, and Mama Jiang hid in the alley where Wang Xiuhua lived, pretending to be nearby residents. Mama Jiang was a sociable dog, and in just a few days, she became familiar with all the nearby dogs. In addition, Wan Qiqi fed them from time to time, and the dogs would wag their tails enthusiastically when they saw them from afar. The residents in the alley never doubted their identities. After all, dogs don't lie, and if they were strangers, they would have pounced on them and bit them. That day Wang Xiuhua did not date her lover, but received a guest from her hometown. She was a woman in her 40s, and her dress and accent were like those of a mountain person. This woman was called Wang Xiuhua's cousin, and she came to the city to borrow money. Wang Xiuhua generously lent the money and even let the woman stay for 1 night. While they were having dinner, they chatted animatedly in their native dialect. Wan Qiqi couldn't hear anything from outside, but there was a osmanthus tree in the yard, which had been trained intensively by Wan Qiqi in the past 2 days, so it was very good at getting information. She broke off a branch of the osmanthus tree and was able to communicate with the tree without entering the yard. The wind carried the sound inside to the osmanthus tree, and the osmanthus tree passed the message to Wan Qiqi, almost achieving a live broadcast. Wan Qiqi listened for a long time, but didn't find anything unusual. Could she have really made a mistake? Wang Xiuhua is just an ordinary woman and has nothing to do with eels? Wan Qiqi really wanted to test her, but she was afraid that she was a real eel. If she alerted the enemy, she would definitely not be able to defeat her. As the night grew deeper, the residents around had all gone to sleep, and Wang Xiuhua and her guests also prepared to wash up and go to bed. "Cousin Yuri not asleep yet?" After the guest finished washing up, he saw that Wang Xiuhua was not ready to go to bed yet, so he asked her, "I'm going to take a bath, you go to sleep first." Wang Xiuhua took some change of clothes and went to the bathroom to take a bath. "It's very cool today, I didn't sweat at all. I just wiped my body, and I won't wash it anymore." "Cousin, you are just like the people in the city now, you really like to be clean." The guest's tone was full of envy. Her cousin was 10 years older than her, but she looked much younger and prettier than her. The food in the public sector was much more nourishing than the food in the countryside. "You're used to it. Go to sleep." Wang Xiuhua smiled and went into the bathroom. The bathroom was behind the house. Wan Qiqi bent down and tiptoed around it. Manzai and Mama Jiang were waiting for her outside. The eel is very skilled, and her 5 senses are definitely more sensitive than those of ordinary people. She has the cover of trees and is not easy to be discovered. Wang Xiuhua had taken off her outer clothes, revealing a light red belly band embroidered with a pattern of mandarin ducks playing in the water. Her skin was white and tender, and her curves were rippling, making her look very charming. The curtains in the bathroom were drawn, so Wan Qiqi couldn't see inside. She could only hear some sounds of water. Fortunately, the bathroom was close to the road, and there was a tall sycamore tree, which must be quite old. Wan Qiqi and Watangsha started chatting. "This person takes a bath every day," Phoenix Tree said in a sullen tone. There was so much water that it was enough for it to drink and be full. Why was it taking a bath? "It's normal for women to like cleanliness," Wan Qiqi said casually.
"Ah,
"He's not a woman. He pees while standing, which doesn't make sense. He's fierce and sleeps with men, so he should be a woman. I don't understand. You humans are so complicated." Phoenix Tree became more and more confused as it talked, and it couldn't tell whether it was male or female. Wan Qiqi blinked her eyes. Darn, she guessed it right. What an unfair and hermaphroditic person. He has a really big bathtub. He has to put so much water in it every time he takes a bath. What a waste. The Polonia tree had a very resentful tone because it remembered that there was a drought one year and it hadn't rained for a long time. It was almost dying of thirst. Those darn unfair humans had to use so much water to take a bath every day. It was so thirsty that it was smoking outside. It was so angry that the tree must have died. Wan Chi-Chi felt a chill in her heart. She had to take a bath every day, no matter spring, summer, autumn, or winter. Isn't this the Japanese devil? The third update is complete. Today's update is nearly 8,000 words. The Japanese soldiers like to take baths. The author has checked the information. During the war, the Japanese soldiers liked to snatch large water tanks and take them home to take baths. They would feel uncomfortable if they didn't take a bath for a day. I chatted with them for a few more words. Good night. In the 1970s in China, taking a bath was not convenient. People only took a bath every day in the summer. It was common not to take a bath for a week in the winter. In rural areas, it was not uncommon not to take a bath for a month. Wang Xiuhua took a bath 365 days a year. She was obviously a Japanese devil. Wan Chi-Chi breathed a sigh of relief. The truth was finally revealed. Wang Xiuhua was the eel. She asked Watangshu to help her climb over the courtyard wall and meet Manzai outside. She planned to stay here and let Manzai take Mama Jiang to contact Pei Yuan and ask someone to arrest Wang Xiuhua. Wan Chi-Chi had just finished giving instructions to Manzai and was about to find a place to hide when her heart suddenly felt like it was burned by fire. She subconsciously turned sideways and a flash of a knife passed by her cheek. Darn, he almost got disfigured. Wan Chi-Chi threw up a few handfuls of quicklime. She had prepared a lot of it in the space. No matter how powerful Eel's knife skills were, his eyes could not block the attack of the lime. Baka. Wang Xiuhua was wearing pajamas and slippers, her hair was wet, and there was lime in her eyes. She was in so much pain that she cursed and swung her samurai sword in a disorderly manner. Wan Chi-Chi took out a bone whip to fight back, but she was a wild fighter, and even if Wang Xiuhua couldn't see clearly, she was still no match for her. Wan Chi-Chi shouted at Manzai to leave, saying that she could hide in the space and would not be in danger. As soon as she was distracted, Wang Xiuhua's knife chopped at her, and the situation was extremely dangerous. Don't beat him, you bad guy. Manzai rushed over angrily, holding a brick in his hand, and hit Wang Xiuhua hard. He also pounced on Wan Chi-Chi, trying to protect her. The brick hit the samurai sword, and the tip of the sword deflected and stabbed Manzai's shoulder. Before Wang Xiuhua could make a decisive move, Mama Jiang pounced on her and bit her wrist. Her sharp teeth pierced through the flesh, biting deeply. Wang Xiuhua, who was furious, quickly changed the knife to her left hand, wanting to kill Mama Jiang with one blow, but a sharp bone whip came at her, and a blood mark immediately appeared on her face. Wan Chi-Chi, filled with anger, whipped Wang Xiuhua one after another, and the bone whip turned into a phantom, leaving no chance for Wang Xiuhua to breathe. But Wang Xiuhua still escaped. She set off a smoke screen with thick smoke billowing. When the smoke cleared, she also disappeared. Manzai, are you okay? Wan Chi-Chi checked Manzai's wound and breathed a sigh of relief. It was just a flesh wound, but the wound was still very deep and a lot of blood had been lost. It hurts. Chi-Chi, it hurts so much. Manzai's eyes were red and his face looked aggrieved. I'll give you milk tea. I promise you that I will catch the bad guy and cut her into pieces to avenge you. Wan Chi-Chi gave him an extra large cup of milk tea with a lot of ingredients in it and promised to catch Wang Xiuhua. She promised the two elders to take good care of Manzai, but she broke her promise. If she doesn't catch Wang Xiuhua, how can she face the two elders in the future? It doesn't hurt anymore. Chi-Chi, don't be sad. Manzai took a big sip of milk tea and tried hard to smile to comfort her. I'll apply medicine for you. Wan Chi-Chi took out a bottle of Yunnan Baiao from the space, poured out the safety pill, and let Manzai swallow it, then sprinkled the medicine powder on the wound. After using a whole bottle of medicine, the bleeding slowly stopped, and then she wrapped the wound with gauze. She also took out a large bag of beef jerky and gave it to Mama Jiang as a reward. If Mama Jiang hadn't bitten the eel and delayed a little time, she would probably have been injured as well. Mama Jiang was not so happy to see the dried meat. He looked at Manzai worriedly, licked his hand from time to time, and put the dried meat in his hand, motioning Manzai to eat it.
Mom, eat it.
Manzai wanted to reach out and touch it, but as soon as he raised his hand, he pulled the wound, and the pain made him break out in a cold sweat. Don't move, let's go home. Wan Chichi cut down some branches, made a simple stretcher, and dragged Manzai away. She didn't dare leave Manzai alone to make a phone call. The eel was secretive and had great skills. It might be a ninja from the Sakura country. The ninja was best at hiding. If the eel was still hiding nearby, it might be bad for Manzai if she left. Fortunately, there was a telephone booth at the end of the alley. Seeing that the ant in the booth had locked the door, Wan Chichi called her and said she wanted to make a call. Didn't you see that you're off work? Call me again tomorrow. The auntie spoke in a bad tone. She was in a hurry to go home and sleep. My brother is sick, and his life is at stake. Wan Chichi explained patiently. The ant looked at the half-conscious Manzai and saw blood all over his body. She immediately became alert and turned and ran away. Why are you running? Come here. Wan Chichi became impatient and swung the bone whip, which hooked the ant's arm like a snake, and pulled her back. Open the door. Okay, I'll open it right now. The ant was so frightened that her face turned pale, thinking that they were criminals who had just committed a crime. She was afraid that Wan Chichi would be unhappy and kill her. Wan Chichi called Wudong West Point and found out that there was someone on duty that night. Answered the phone was Ding Yi, a bachelor who lived in the Wudong West Point store. I want to eat a cake with lots of strawberry jam. I only want one piece. Please send it to Wan Chichi, said the code word. A cake covered with strawberry jam meant that someone was injured, and just one piece meant one person was injured. Okay, it will be delivered right away. Please wait where you are, Dingy said in a serious tone. Wan Chichi hung up the phone and signaled to the ant on the phone that she could close the door. The ant saw that she was a beautiful young girl and did not look like a criminal, so she was not so scared anymore and even asked bravely, Sister, what happened to your brother? A thief came to steal something and my brother was stabbed. The thief ran away. My brother wanted to eat strawberry cake, so I called him to buy him a piece. Wan Chichi gave a casual explanation. Oh my, sister, you are really something. Why are you ordering a cake at this time? You have to call the police. I'll help you. The ant on the phone was very enthusiastic and offered to call the police, but was held back by Wan Chichi.
Thank you, Auntie. You can go home now.
Wan Chichi spoke in a light tone and swung the bone whip. The ant's heart sank, her arm ached slightly, and her back felt cold. I'm going home, haha. I'm going home now. The ant laughed dryly a few times, swallowed hard, turned around and left. After a while, she disappeared. Ding Yi and Xiao Chao arrived very quickly, and Xiao Chao was wrapped in a piece of dark blue curtain cloth with a pink cake box ribbon tied in the middle, which looked out of place. Ding Eben couldn't find anyone for a while at night, so he planned to come here by himself. He happened to meet Xiao Chao, who couldn't sleep in the middle of the night and ran into the store to steal cakes, so he dragged him over. But before Xiao Chao came to the store, he ran around naked without wearing anything, so Ding Yi had to pull down the curtains in the store, wrap him up, and then cut a pink ribbon to tie it tightly to prevent him from exposing himself. Ding Yi checked Manzai's wound and looked Wan Chichi up and down. Then he breathed a sigh of relief, thinking it was just a minor injury and nothing serious. The eel was too alert. She attacked me by surprise. Manzai took the knife for me. Mama Jiang was very brave and bit the eel's wrist. Otherwise, I would have been injured too. Wan Chichi briefly recounted what had happened. Her tone and expression were very cold, completely different from her usual soft and cute appearance. Don't think too much, go back first. Dingy comforted her, saying that almost everyone in the bureau had heard of the eel's great reputation, and it was already amazing that Wan Chichi could find the eel. He and Xiao Chao also went to Wang Xiaohua's residence. The cousin was still sleeping soundly and had no idea what was happening outside. Ding Yi knocked his cousin unconscious and carried her out. He drove here, and when they returned to the bureau, Pei Yuan had already arrived and brought a doctor with him. The wound is not serious. Don't touch water or eat spicy food in the next few days. The doctor treated the wound and prescribed some medicine. Wan Qiqi and Pei Yuan went to interrogate the cousin, but the woman knew nothing about anything and kept crying and making a fuss about wanting to go home, saying that she was a poor peasant from 8 generations of innocent origin. Pei Yuan was an expert in interrogation and was particularly good at attacking people's minds. After only asking for more than 10 minutes, he was sure that his cousin was indeed unaware of the situation, and she did not know that Wang Xiuhua was a Japanese soldier. Impossible! How could cousin Xiuhua be a Japanese soldier? Her husband was killed by the Japanese soldiers. She and I are from the same village, and I know her parents, my aunt and uncle. It is absolutely impossible that she was a Japanese soldier. My cousin's tone was very confident, and she even thought Pei Yuan was joking. There was no useful information on this woman, which showed how successful Il's disguise was. Even her cousin, who grew up with her, couldn't tell that she was fake. My cousin is being held in the police station temporarily and will be released after she catches an eel. Wan Qiqi and Pei Yuan reported on the situation over the past 3 days. Wang Xiuhua is the eel. Although her lifestyle and diet have changed completely and are almost the same as those of Chinese people, she has one habit that she cannot change. She takes a bath every day. Even in the cold winter, she will take a bath without fail. I was just outside the bathroom and accidentally revealed my whereabouts and was discovered by the eel. Wan Qiqi reflected on it and thought that maybe she was confirmed of Wang Xiuhua's identity. She was a little excited, and her breathing was unstable. Ordinary people couldn't detect it, but Il was a ninja, so she would definitely not be able to hide it. You're already very good at finding the eels. Don't blame yourself too much for Comrade Fu Mandua's injury. In our line of work, getting injured is commonplace. Pei Yuan saw what she was thinking and comforted her. I don't blame myself, this darn eel. I must catch him. Wan Qiqi gritted her teeth and swore that the eel was injured and would not be able to run far, so she must catch this little Japanese with her own hands. You can't beat him. I will notify the general administration to send someone to help. Eels are cunning and vicious and good at hiding. Even if he is injured, he is not that easy to deal with. Xiao Ruan, you have worked hard these days. Take a few days off first. Pei Yuan's tone was very serious, and he disagreed with Wan Qiqi acting alone.
No.
Wan Qiqi agreed readily, but it made Pei Yuan even more worried. Comrade Wan Qiqi, promise not to act alone. Pei Yuan was worried and asked her to make a promise. I promise not to act alone. Wan Qiqi promised obediently. Okay, you rest at home for a few days. I promise to catch the eel and avenge Comrade Fu Manduo. Pei Yuan also promised to avenge not only Manzai, but also his master's blood feud. Moreover, Il has a list of some of the agents who infiltrated the Mei agency back then. This list is very important and must be found. Ding Yi drove to take Wan Qiqi and Manzai home, first to Lu's house. The 2 old people haven't gone to bed yet. They are waiting for Manzai. Uncle Lu, Mama Guan, I'm sorry I didn't take good care of Manzi. Wan Qiqi apologized as soon as she entered the door. It's none of Qiqi's business. Manzi won't feel any pain. Manzai has woken up and is anxious to explain. Qiqi, it has nothing to do with you. It's normal to get injured while performing a mission. Don't blame yourself. After checking Manzai's wound, the 2 elders felt relieved. It was just a flesh wound and nothing serious. They comforted Wan Qiqi and told her not to take it to heart. Go back and have a good rest. Guan Jihua reached out and patted her shoulder gently with a particularly kind and warm smile. Well, Mama Guan, Uncle Lu, Manzi, good night. Wan Qiqi nodded and said goodbye to the Lu family. The car drove to the family building and Wan Qiqi went upstairs. Ding Yi started the car and left, but before he had gone far, Pei Yuan asked him to go back and find a secluded place to hide.
Why?
If you don't go to bed, I will go to bed. Ding Yi was unhappy. He was an injured patient now, and sleep was very important to him. Wan Qiqi agreed so readily that I'm worried. Pei Yuan expressed his concerns. Years of carrying out missions had developed his keen foresight, and he had a hunch that Wan Chi would not behave herself tonight. She can't go out alone in the middle of the night. Why are you worrying about it? Dingy muttered unhappily, and after he finished speaking, he was stunned and looked at each other with Pei Yuan. Pei Yuan smiled bitterly. He was worried that this girl would act alone, so he sacrificed his sleep and stayed to watch over her. Ding Yi also started to worry. Wan Chi was his beloved baby, and not a single hair of her could be in danger. He immediately turned the car around and parked not far from the family building. He and Pei Yuan took turns to wait outside the building. After Wan Chi returned home, she closed the doors and windows, went into the space to eat something, took a shower, changed into black clothes and sneakers for running, and lay down on the sofa with her clothes on to sleep. The night gradually deepened, and the moon hung in the sky. Ding Yi was staring downstairs, and there were a few cigarette butts on the ground. He raised his wrist to look at his watch. It was already midnight. Wan Chi shouldn't go out, right? Just as Ding Yi was thinking this, he saw out of the corner of his eye a black shadow falling from the family building, landing straight on the tree, and then landing lightly on the ground. It was Wan Chi. She was dressed in black, with her hair tied into a bun and wearing sneakers. She was dressed very simply and neatly. She held a bone whip in her right hand and had a cold expression. She looked very different from Wan Chi during the day. She walked without looking around.
Wow.
Old Pei really guessed it. Ding Yi left quietly. His supernatural power recovered a little bit, and his speed was much faster than that of ordinary people. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the car. Pei Yuan leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes to rest, but when Ding Yi arrived, he quickly opened his eyes and a gleam of light flashed in his eyes. The darn girl came out of the cave. Ding Yi said in a low voice, "Go and stop him." Pei Yuan moved to the driver's seat and started the car. He knew that this darn girl was extremely bold. Just like the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Group A, she wanted to sneak over and assassinate UD when she got crazy. This darling girl of his was no less bold when she got crazy. Wan Chi walked very fast. She was like a wandering soul, moving through the compound, and she avoided the patrolling soldiers every time and easily reached the place where the military parked its cars. What is she going to do? Ding Yi asked in a low voice. Steal a car. Pei Yuan answered through gritted teeth. He finished speaking. Wan Chi opened the car door easily, got in, and started the car easily. Soon, the car drove out of the military area.
Duck.
When did she learn to drive? Ding Yi's eyes almost popped out. Pei Yuan ignored him and drove closely behind him. He also found the patrolling soldier and showed his ID. I have an urgent mission. I will lend you a car and return it tomorrow. With ID number 759, the soldiers quickly let us pass. Pei Yuan drove to Wang Xiaohua's residence, and sure enough, Wan Chi car was parked there. She was standing under a tree, thinking deeply. After a few minutes, Wan Chi got in the car. Shu told her that Wang Xiaohua had not come back. Obviously, she had other bases in Tanzhou City. Along the way, Wan Chi walked and stopped, got off the car from time to time, and stood under a tree to think for a while. Pei Yuan looked thoughtful. He probably knew the girl's special ability. It should be that she could communicate with plants. There were plants everywhere in the city, so this girl was so good at gathering information. Old Pei, have you noticed that there is something wrong with this girl? Ding Yi noticed something unusual. Wan Chi eyes were fixed, and her expression was blank. It was obvious that something was wrong. She is sleepwalking. Don't disturb her. Pei Yuan had already noticed it, so he just followed her secretly without disturbing her. This girl is too obsessed. She can't catch enough during the day, and she wants to catch them even in her dreams at night. Old Pei, our group is sure to win first place this year. Ding Yi joked with a smile. Pei Yuan glanced at him. The joke was not funny. He was more worried about their safety now. If Wan Chi really finds the eel, even the three of them combined may not be able to defeat the eel. If we really find the eel later, I will drag him away and you take Wan Chi away. Pei Yuan instructed. Forget about your small body. I'll carry you, and you take Xiao Ruan away. Ding Yi rolled his eyes in disdain. I am the director. This is an order. Pei Yuan used his official power to suppress Ding Yi. They followed Ruan Qiqi to the outskirts of the city. It was deserted, the street lights were broken, and it looked eerie. Ruan Qiqi walked under a ginkgo tree. After a few minutes, she turned around and climbed a nearby hill. The mountain is not high, but you can vaguely see a few clusters of blue ghost lights. The shadows of the small trees on the side of the mountain road are twisted into all kinds of terrifying shapes under the moonlight. There are also strange noises on the mountain and the sound of owls like a child crying. All these things add to the weird and terrifying atmosphere of the mountain. Ruan Qiqi walked very quickly, holding the bone whip, and soon reached the hillside. What you see is a field of tombstones and a few graves without tombstones. They have probably been abandoned for many years. The top of the hill is very eerie and scary, making one's back feel cold. Ding Yi rubbed his arms and whispered, "The eel won't hide in the grave, right?" "Hush." Pei Yuan took out the wooden warehouse and looked alert. The eels were most likely hiding here. Ding Yi also took out the wooden warehouse, and the two of them stood back to back. Ruan Qiqi walked straight to a tomb that looked relatively luxurious. There were burnt incense sticks and empty plates on the grave, which showed that some descendants had come to pay homage there. She pulled out some grass, placed it beside the grave, and lit it with a lighter. Soon the grass began to burn and thick smoke billowed, but the smoke did not drift away. Instead, it went into the tomb. Apparently, there was a hole in the tomb. Ruan Qiqi threw a few dried chilies into the burning grass. Soon, the dried chilies began to crackle and the pungent smoke penetrated into the tomb. The tomb was very large, about 7 or 8 square meters, and was equipped with food and bedding. It was like a small suite. The eel covered his face with a wet cloth, but was still choked to death, and his nose and tears flowed. Baka. Darn Chinese. Eel cursed softly. His right hand was injured, and he couldn't use the knife. The knife in his left hand could only exert half of its power. Now he didn't know how many pursuers were outside, so he was not sure he could escape. Another wave of spicy smoke came in. Ruan Qiqi also added a handful of peppercorns. The eel could hide in there for a lifetime. Later she would add a handful of cumin and make it grilled eel. Ahem. The eel was choked so hard that he couldn't open his eyes and kept coughing. He picked up the samurai sword and had to fight for one last chance. Bang! A hole was split in the tomb, and the eel shot out at a very fast speed like a ghost, and the samurai's sword chopped at Ruan Qiqi. He was delighted to see that Ruan Qiqi was the only one there. This Chinese woman was so weak in martial arts that he could easily deal with her even with just his left hand. Haha. God helps him. The eel attacked with confidence, and his voice changed, no longer the charming female voice, but returned to a male voice. Ruan Qiqi said nothing and whipped him directly. Her speed and strength increased by at least 3 times. The whip directly turned the eel into a hairtail. Her head was buzzing, and she almost couldn't hold the samurai sword. Before the eel could react, Ruan Qiqi's bone whip came again. Pa, pa. The bone whip hit the eel, making a crisp and pleasant sound. Every time it was whipped, the eel felt pain all over its body. Even its bones hurt. Baka. The eel screamed angrily and swung the samurai sword, but the bone whip also came over, flexibly wrapped around the samurai sword, and pulled hard, and the eel fell to the ground with both the sword and the eel. Ruan Qiqi smiled contemptuously, and the bone whip was like a snake. She rolled up the samurai sword and threw it far away. The eel without the samurai sword was like a dead fish and had no power to resist her bone whip. Pei Yuan and Ding Yi opened their mouths in astonishment without even blinking. They originally wanted to come to support, but Ruan Qiqi's fighting power left them dumbfounded. Ruan Qiqi, who is sleepwalking, has such high fighting power that even eels are no match for her. This is such a great treasure. Pei Yuan's eyes were brighter than the stars in the sky, and his heart was filled with joy. If he hadn't been afraid of scaring Ruan Qiqi, he would have wanted to laugh out loud towards the sky. Stop hitting me. I have the important list you want. If you kill me, you will never get the list. Eel was beaten all over. The bone whip in Ruanqiqi's hand was extremely lethal, and blood would be drawn with every whip. If this woman continued to whip him, he would definitely lose his life.
He didn't want to die.
He wanted to use the list in his hand to exchange for a chance to survive, and then find a way to return to his homeland. Ruanqiqi ignored him and continued to whip Manzai. She had promised Manzai that she would avenge him with her own hands. Just as the eel was about to become a dead fish, a figure quickly passed by. Ruanqiqi's eyes blurred, and the eel on the ground disappeared. She chased after the shadow, but couldn't catch up. Ding Yi carried the eel and used all his skills to finally escape Ruanqiqi's pursuit. Ruanqiqi stopped, tilted his head, listened to the roosters crowing for a while, then turned around and went down the mountain. Pei Yuan, who was hiding in the dark, breathed a sigh of relief. He sent Ruanqiqi back to the compound and saw her enter the house with his own eyes before driving back to the bureau. Ding Yi has returned, bringing back a seriously injured eel. I almost lost my life. I didn't expect this girl to be so good at sleepwalking. It's really rare. Ding Yi wiped his sweat and admired Ruanqiqi very much. Only we know about this. Don't tell anyone else. Pei Yuan reminded. I know, I'm going to bed.
Ding Yi on it.
He had to get up and bake the cake tomorrow. Pei Yuan kicked the unconscious eel on the ground, but it didn't wake up. He sneered, locked the eel up, and then called his superiors to report. The eel was caught. It was Comrade Jiahua who caught it and Comrade Shanbao, and I assisted. Pei Yuan concealed the fact that Ruanqiqi was sleepwalking. Shanbao was Ding Yi's code name. We must get the list from Eel. We can send Tyrannosaurus from Group A to assist. He is good at interrogation, said the leader. Pei Yuan refused, saying that they had Jiahua in Group B and did not need Tyrannosaurus help. That night, Ruanqiqi slept very soundly and slept until noon. When she woke up, she saw the black clothes and sneakers beside the bed, and the corners of her mouth curled up. She had no memory of what happened last night, but she was definitely sleepwalking. In her previous life, she discovered that she could control dreams, so before going to bed last night, she made preparations. Even though she couldn't beat the eel during the day, she could definitely beat it while sleepwalking. She had promised Manzai something, so she must do it. Finished the third update. Going out to visit the museum tomorrow. I wanted to make an appointment for the Egyptian artifacts exhibition, but there were too many people. I can't make an appointment. Then I'll go to see the bronze artifacts. I'll be back in one day. Good night. Ruanqiqi took a bath, cooked a big bowl of rice noodles, and then rode her bike to Wudong Western Pastry Shop. Would you like some almond cake? I made it fresh. Ding Yi handed over a piece of freshly baked almond cake with a smile on his chubby face, but his eye sockets were dark and bloodshot. Did you steal last night? Ruanqiqi took the cake and ate it, and also made a joke. Yes, to rob graves. Ding joked half seriously. You have a very special hobby. Ruanqiqi curled her lips in disdain, finished her cake, and went to find Pei Yuan. It's you who are special, Comrade Jiahua, muttered quietly and continued making the cake. Pei Yuan did not go home last night and slept in the office. Like Ding Yi, his eye sockets were dark and there were red bloodshot eyes. Did you guys go to rob graves together last night? Ruanqiqi joked. Yes. Have you had a good rest? Pei Yuan asked with a smile, looking at her with a particularly kind look. Rest well. I want the whole eel. Ruanqiqi made a direct request, saying that the eel must have been caught, and that the little Japanese guy was very pretty, even prettier than Tanaka Kenichi, and she was greedy. No problem, but it will take some time. I want to interrogate Eel. He has important information in his hands. Pei Yuan agreed readily. Will he hand it over? Ruanqiqi sounded doubtful. Eel was very cunning and unlike other devils, this guy knew how to enjoy himself and would definitely not want to die. He would definitely use this list to buy a chance to live. Pei Yuan shook his head. He put forward a condition. After handing over the list, he would be given a clean Chinese identity. Why? He killed so many of us. Why should he be allowed to live? You have to hand over the list, and your life as well. Wan Chichi firmly opposed it. The Japs must die, especially since they were evil ones. It would not be too much even if they died 100 times. Pei Yuan thought so too, but the eel's mouth was very stubborn. He had already interrogated it and even used the most severe torture methods, but he couldn't pry open the eel's mouth. This guy wouldn't take any tricks. If it doesn't work, I'll ask Tyrannosaurus to interrogate him. He's an expert at interrogation. Wan Chichi immediately became alert and asked, Tyrannosaurus is here to interrogate us. Should we give him a share of the credit? Certainly. Pei Yuan nodded. No need to look for Tyrannosaurus. I will interrogate him. Wan Chichi took it. It was just an interrogation. There were so many perverted interrogation methods on the internet in her previous life. She didn't believe that she couldn't open the Japanese's mouth. Pei Yuan didn't want to share the credit, so he agreed to let her try it first. Wan Chichi was not in a hurry to interrogate him. She had to prepare some handy tools. 2 hours later, she came back with 2 bags, one of which contained a living thing that was still wriggling. Can I sit in? Pei Yuan became very curious and wanted to see how Wan Chichi interrogated him.
Up.
Wan Chichi agreed generously. She hoped to promote those perverted methods and use them on the Japanese devils. Eel was handcuffed to a chair, his body covered with wounds. He looked up at the person who came in and smiled slightly. Have you applied to the leader? My request is not high. You have been looking for that list for 20 years, and you only use it to exchange for an ordinary person's identity. I am very considerate. Stop talking nonsense. It doesn't matter whether you hand over the list or not. I'm not interested at all. I caught you, so I have the final say on how to deal with you. Wan Chichi spoke in a very arrogant tone and directly said that he did not want the list. This eel was so crazy because she was so desperate that Pei Yuan wanted the list. She was really not interested in the list, and she was not lying. Eel also saw that she was not lying, and he couldn't help but panic. The list was his life-saving talisman. If it lost its effectiveness, how could he make his demands? You really don't want the list? It contains a list of 20 important agents of the May Agency. At least 10 of them are still alive, lurking in various cities in China, and some are even in important departments. Are you sure you don't want it? Eel threw out a bigger bait. This list was the infiltration plan of the May Agency. It sent a group of specially trained people to lurk in various cities in China, trying their best to infiltrate important departments and be loyal to Tian Huang. Pei Yuan had a blank expression on his face, but he was very excited inside. He had to get his hands on this list. However, before he came in, he agreed to let Wan Chichi make the decision, and he could not speak. Not getting a response from Pei Yuan, Eel became even more panicked, but he remained calm on the surface. As an excellent agent, no matter how anxious he was, he would not show it. It's none of my business. You hurt my friend, so I'm going to kill you. And I'm going to make sure you don't die peacefully. I'm not interested in any list or no list. Wan Chichi snorted coldly, put 2 large bags on the ground, and took out a bottle of honey from one of the bags. This is high-quality Sephora Japonica honey. You are a tiny country like Sakura country, and you have never seen any good things. You must have never tasted honey this good. I will treat you to some. Wan Chichi unscrewed the lid, and a rich, sweet fragrance wafted out. Eel swallowed his saliva. He hadn't eaten since last night. Honey happened to be his favorite food, and the smell made him even hungrier. Want to eat? Don't worry, I'll treat you to my feet first. Wan Chichi took off his shoes and socks, poured some honey on paper, and applied it on the soles of his feet with a brush. This trick was something she learned from an online article in her previous life. She would give it a try. If the eel could resist, she would use other tricks. There were countless ways to force confessions on the internet anyway, so she would try every one of them. Eel's expression changed and panic surged in his heart. He had a hunch that what Wan Chichi did was definitely not human. He was not afraid of torture. He had received rigorous training and could endure all these methods of extracting confessions, so Pei Yuan could do nothing to him. But Eel is very afraid of Wan Chichi. This woman is very evil. After smearing a thick layer of honey on the soles of the eel's feet, Wan Chi took out a glass bottle from the bag. The bottle was dark. She unscrewed the lid, and a group of ants crawled out. Attracted by the scent of honey, they all crawled onto the soles of the eel's feet. Soon, the soles of the eel's feet were filled with black ants, wriggling in dense masses, which made people feel a little nauseous. An ant bite doesn't feel much, but the bites of thousands of ants, especially on the sensitive soles of the feet, will magnify even the slightest pain countless times. And it's not just pain, there's also numbness, itching, and swelling, which all mix together and amplify, making it unbearable. Even though the eel had received harsh training, he was tortured badly. He could still bear it at first, but later on, he let out a cry of pain and twisted his body constantly to try to relieve the pain, but to no avail. Pei Yuan swallowed his saliva. He had heard of this method of torture, but had never tried it. After all, honey was a precious thing, and he himself couldn't bear to eat it, so how could he bear to give it to the soles of the Japanese soldiers' feet? Is it tasty? Wan Chi asked. The eel gritted his teeth and said painfully, I will not give in. If you want me to hand over the list, you must agree to my terms. You don't understand what I'm saying? I don't want your list. I just want your life and your bones. Your bones are very beautiful, very suitable for making magic tools. Do you know what magic tools are? Wan Chi asked slowly and took out a staff, a bone whip, and a skull candlestick from her bag. This candlestick belongs to Kenichi Tanaka. This little devil has beautiful bones, and the candlestick is very beautifully made. Wan Chi was reluctant to put it outside, fearing that someone would see it and steal it, so she hid it in the space. The eel's pupils shrank, and he seemed to sense a familiar breath. Wan Chi lit the candlestick, the faint blue flame flickered, and the hollow skull grinned happily at the eel. The original owner of this skull is called Kenichi Tanaka. He is your fellow villager. He has a handsome face and beautiful bones. I liked him at first sight, and sure enough, he is very beautiful when made into a magic tool, and this magic staff is also very beautiful, isn't it? Wan Chi picked up the bone and shook it in front of the eel ostentatiously. You deserve to die. The eel gritted his teeth. Darn zitch. How dare she humiliate the corpse of his compatriot and make it into a magic weapon? How abominable. Do and be angry. After I kill you, you will become a magic weapon. You should feel honored. I am very picky. I don't look down on ordinary devils. You must be beautiful. It's a pity that there are too many ugly people in your country and too few beautiful people. Wan Chi sighed regretfully, picked up the bone whip again, and boasted, My whip is powerful, isn't it? These are two of your compatriots. How does it feel to have your compatriot's spines injured? Eel stopped cursing. He looked at Wan Chi viciously and swore secretly in his heart that as long as he could escape, he would kill this woman and grind her bones to ashes to avenge his dead compatriots. Your bones are really hard. Forget it. I won't treat you to honey anymore. Let me try a new method. Wan Chi used a brush to brush all the ants on the soles of the eel's feet into the bottle, and then released them. She was such a kind person that she couldn't bear to hurt even the ants. Pei Yuan watched from the side and cheered secretly. He believed that the best way to interrogate was to attack the heart. When he was interrogating, Eel remained very calm, without any change of mood. Wan Chi did not use ordinary means, but angered Eel with just a few words. People to remain calm when they are angry. Wan Chi interrogation was already half successful. Pei Yuan was very curious about what method Wan Chi would use next. You are a hermaphrodite, right? You can pee while standing, but you have female characteristics, so you codenamed yourself Eel. Eels can change their gender according to the environment, and you are the same. You can be a man or a woman. Wan Chi chatted with Eel as if she was chatting with her family. Eel still didn't say anything, but he was not at peace inside. Wan Chi was the first person to discover his true identity. This woman was indeed weird, and he felt very uneasy. I'm curious, do you have 2 sets of reproductive organs? Wan Chi had a dagger in his hand and cut open Eel's pants. Pei Yuan opened his mouth and wanted to stop her. Even if eels are neither male nor female, they are still half men. This girl is not afraid of getting sty. Baka, what are you doing? The eel's face changed, and he shouted angrily. What he hated most was having his shortcomings seen by others. When he was a child, he was ridiculed and looked down upon countless times because of his unique physical characteristics. Even his parents and brothers and sisters called him a monster. He grew up amidst cold stares and ridicule. At the age of 12, he was spotted by a ninja organization and began rigorous training. Eventually, he became an excellent ninja and agent who almost never failed. But he still didn't dare to reveal his true identity, so he never showed his true face. Even when he was having a tryst with his mistresses, he turned off the lights so that no one could see him. It's just love for everyone. It's not like I haven't seen it before. Ruan Chi-Chi sneered disdainfully and tore his clothes with a bone whip. Sure enough, it was just as she had guessed. She had indeed seen hermaphrodites in her previous life. There was one in a mental hospital. Because of his abnormal physical characteristics, he had been discriminated against since childhood. Even his parents disliked him, which led to mental problems. His parents were too lazy to care for him and sent him to a mental hospital. When this patient became ill, he loved to run around naked in the mental hospital, shouting that he was a man, but in fact his physical characteristics were more like those of a woman. Later, Ruan Chi-Chi couldn't bear it anymore, so she paid for the patient's surgery, and she was completely transformed into a woman, a very beautiful woman. The operation was very successful, and the patient was completely cured and never got sick again. After she was discharged from the hospital, she found a handsome boyfriend and got married happily. She also often came to the mental hospital to visit Ruan Chi-Chi and bought a lot of things every time she came. You have to have 3 mistresses even when you are lurking. It is obvious that you enjoy the pleasure of love and prefer being a woman. Let me ask you something.
Can you
have love with a snake? Ruan Chi-Chi bent down, blinked her eyes, her face full of curiosity. Pei Yuan turned his head away and suppressed the twitching corners of his mouth with difficulty. Although this girl is married, her words are too shocking. Fortunately, he was the only one in the room and no one else heard it. Il was also a little confused. He prided himself on being extremely smart, but for a moment he didn't understand what Ruan Chi-Chi meant. It shouldn't be what he understood, right? Never? No way, you haven't even tried this. TSK, you missed the most extreme happiness in the world. Fortunately, you met me. I will make up for your regret now. Ruan Chi-Chi said in a serious tone, put on gloves, and reached into another bag to take something out. Pei Yuan twitched his lips and roughly guessed what was in the squirming bag. I was only out for 2 hours. Where did this girl get so many snakes? She is quite good at catching snakes. He didn't know that Ruan Chi-Chi didn't have to do it herself. She just had to run to the mountain and say hello to the trees, and the trees would bring the snakes from the mountain over. It was very convenient. Ruan Chi-Chi really took out a small snake that was about a foot long. The snakes she caught were all non-venomous snakes that would not bite people to death, but they could scare people. The eel was very calm, even relieved. As a ninja, he had to deal with all kinds of insects since he was a child. How could a mere small snake scare him? The little snake coiled around Ruan Chi-Chi's wrist, raised its head, and spit out its tongue at him. I know you're not afraid of snakes. You ninjas must have had a lot of experience with snakes when you were little. Isn't this little snake cute? Ruan Chi-Chi grabbed the little snake and brought it in front of the eel. The snake's tongue was only 1 centimeter away from his eyes. The eel remained silent, but his eyes were full of contempt. He was not afraid of such childish tricks at all. Ruan Chi-Chi smiled and suddenly cut Eel's hand with a dagger. Bright red blood flowed out. She dipped a brush in the blood and smeared it on his private parts. What are you going to do? The eel's face changed, and a strong panic surged in his heart. Having undergone rigorous training, he was almost fearless, but he had a fatal weakness, which was his hidden physical disease, which was like his Achilles heel and would be destroyed at the first blow. Don't be afraid. You'll be super happy soon. Ruan Chi-Chi smiled sweetly, her voice full of temptation, but Eel became even more panicked, with cold sweat pouring down his forehead. Pei Yuan's eyes were filled with interest. He had already guessed what Wan Chichi was going to do. This method of punishment was quite novel. He had to learn a little bit. In the future, when he encountered a stubborn enemy, he would use this trick. Wan Chichi smeared a lot of blood. The little snake on her wrist was spitting out its tongue excitedly, and the snake in the bag was also wriggling excitedly. Why are you in such a hurry? Shui Lingling's people can't escape. There's enough for you to eat. Wan Chichi used a brush to smear a lot of blood. Eel's face became paler and paler, and his eyes became fearful. He really liked pleasure, but only with men, not like now. Darn Chinese woman. One day he will take revenge. Ding 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 ding. It's time for dinner, Eel-san, enjoy it. Wan Chichi put the little snake on the ground. The little snake slid excitedly and found the source of the bloody smell. Then another 1, 2, 3. 6 came swimming over. There are 6 in total. Because Wan Chichi likes Lu. Eel is still very powerful. Although he is a little devil, his willpower is amazing. Even Wan Chichi admires him a little. The eel's face was pale as a ghost, even paler than a dead person, but he still tried hard not to scream, but the fear in his eyes grew deeper and deeper. Wan Chichi knew that this guy couldn't hold on any longer. Come one by one, line up, no need to rush. Everyone will have a share. Wan Chichi caught a little cutie who wanted to cut in line and moved her to the back. Even if she was a little cutie, she had to queue up obediently. Cutting in line was shameful. She applied some more blood, otherwise the cuties would have no motivation. Pei Yuan couldn't bear to watch it any longer. He just felt uncomfortable all over his body. The visual impact was so uncomfortable. One can imagine how uncomfortable the eel was at this moment. He put himself in the other person's shoes and thought about it. If he were in the other person's shoes and was being tortured to extract a confession, would he be able to withstand it? Pei Yuan suddenly felt a chill on his back, because he felt that he might not be able to withstand it, and he would find ways to commit suicide. The eel thought the same thing, and wanted to bite his tongue to commit suicide. But Wan Chichi had predicted it in advance and removed his jaw, and the poison in his teeth was also removed by Pei Yuan early on. He is now unable to live or die. You're so happy you want to die, right? We Chinese are the best. We repay evil with kindness. We entertain you in such a happy way. Isn't it better than your beloved lover, Wang Taizhu? Wan Chichi squatted down with a smile on her face, smearing blood while chatting with Eel. She looked relaxed and casual throughout the whole process, and it didn't seem at all that she was doing something horror that was not suitable for children. Pei Yuan let out a long sigh and secretly admired her. He was a little unsteady just now, but this girl was calm and composed, chatting and laughing. She was simply a natural interrogation expert, on par with the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Group A. Whoa. The eel's face was distorted. He was a ninja, and his body was more sensitive than that of an ordinary person. He could feel the pain in his body firsthand. He didn't want to experience this kind of extremely terrifying feeling at all. Want to confess? No need. I said I'm not interested in your list. I just want your life.
Got it?
Wan Chichi shook his head, grabbed another little cutie, pretended to stuff it into his mouth, and joked, Do you think it can successfully reach the large intestine? Whoa. The eel shook his head vigorously. He didn't want to eat the snake alive, otherwise he would definitely lose his life. TSK. The famous eel is just like this. The little snake is so cute, and you actually despise it. Wan Chichi curled his lips and took the little cutie out of his mouth. There are 3 inside and 3 outside, trying hard to explore. It's smelly in there, not fun. I'll treat you to a big meal later. Wan Chichi caught the 3 little cuties and put them into the bag, as they would be useful later. Time passed by minute, but in fact only a few minutes had passed, but to the eel it felt like a very long time had passed, and every second felt like a year. It's only 5 minutes. Why are you in such a hurry? Compared to the evil deeds of you little devils, my talent is nothing. I will endure the discomfort. Wan Chichi snorted coldly. They were just 3 little snakes. They wouldn't kill her. At most they would just bite a few holes in her stomach. She could then just open it up and sew a few stitches. Pei Yuan was a little worried that someone might get killed. He hadn't got the list yet, so he glanced at Wan Qiqi. Wan Qiqi looked back at him and told him not to worry. She was sure. Pei Yuan twitched his lips. He just couldn't let go of the worry in his heart. This girl was even crazier than the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Group A. He was really worried that the eel wouldn't be able to bear it and would be killed by this girl. Another 5 minutes passed, and the eel was already dying. Don't play dead. You ninjas are not that fragile. I'm not someone you can fool. Wan Qiqi kicked him, but the eel didn't react. It looked real. Why hasn't he come out yet? He's not really making a nest in there, is he? Wan Qiqi muttered to himself, squatting carelessly. Just looking at Pei Yuan couldn't bear to watch it any longer, so he walked over and covered it with a tablecloth. Stop it, I'm watching. Wan Qiqi pulled the tablecloth aside with disgust. Pei Yuan touched his nose, walked to the side, and stood obediently against the wall.
Just give it a try.
If it doesn't work, let these 3 little cuties build a nest and lay eggs in your belly. I forgot to tell you, these 3 are 2 males and 1 female. They will definitely fight later. Just be patient. Wan Qiqi was mumbling to herself, just like chatting, but the words she said made the eel, who was pretending to be dead, come back to life and look at her viciously. First, apply some blood. When the little cutie smells the blood, he will come out. In theory, it's right, but in practice, I don't know. Let's try it first.
Hey.
The blood is dried up. Stab it again. Wan Qiqi kept muttering to herself while working. The blood from the previous stab wound had coagulated, so she stabbed it again with a knife, this time deeper, and blood gushed out. She smeared a lot of blood, then hugged her knees with her hands, squatted like she was taking a dump, and stared intently. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes passed. The eel groaned. All came out. Are you feeling comfortable? Are you grateful to me now? We will have a delicious meal soon. Wan Qiqi's face was particularly sweet, but it made Eel tremble with fear. He finally understood that this seemingly harmless woman was the most cruel. You like being a woman so much. It's too cumbersome to carry this thing around with you every day. Let me help you do it. The dagger in Wan Qiqi's hand came closer, and the coldness of the blade made Eel shudder. Although he likes being a woman, this is also his male dignity. How could he dislike it? Woo-woo. The eel shook his head vigorously. Although his male dignity was dispensable, it was better than having it nothing. He didn't want to be a rootless person. Are you extremely happy? No need to thank me, I just like to do good things. You can rest assured, I have fried pigs and cows before. It is clean and neat, and it completely eliminates the root of troubles. Wan Qiqi made a beautiful knife flower and lied with her eyes open. Neither her original body nor her previous life had ever done this job. It hurts a little bit, bear with it. Wan Qiqi was very patient, just like coaxing a child, but she acted decisively and cut the victim with one move. The eel closed his eyes, not daring to look, but the expected severe pain did not appear, only a little stinging. He opened his eyes and saw that it was only pierced a little and bleeding. Come, let's have a feast. No need to queue. After all, it's too small. There's not enough for each of you to take a bite. Go grab some. As soon as Wan Qiqi finished speaking, 6 snakes that smelled the blood rushed forward. The place was too small, so they twisted themselves into a knot, but still did not forget to eat their feast. Ah! The eel screamed in pain, the sound piercing the sky and could be heard throughout the building. Pei Yuan's mouth twitched slightly, but he didn't stop. Just castration. No one will be killed. Another 5 minutes passed and the 6 snakes finished eating, but it was obvious that they were still not satisfied and were not full. I'm sorry, it's a little small. Now I know where the meat is. Wan Qiqi slapped her forehead and tore open Eel's clothes, revealing the belly band of a mandarin duck playing in the water. Pei Yuan's face changed, and he quickly turned his head away. The 3rd update is finished. It's a bit perverted, but the author wrote it very happily. I changed some places. It's more obscure. I'll continue tomorrow. Good night. Whoa. The eel screamed miserably, but unfortunately his jaw was broken, and he couldn't speak. However, Wan Chi knew what he wanted to say. The physical characteristics of this little devil are more like those of a woman, and he himself enjoys being a woman. The reason he uses a male identity is that in the Sakura country, the status of men is much higher than that of women. Loses his male dignity, he will at most feel uncomfortable, but it will not cross his bottom line. However, if he loses the ferocity of a woman, he will definitely not be able to bear it. Il is over 50 years old, but she still wears a charming belly band with a mandarin duck pattern. Wan Chi also found several belly bands embroidered with exquisite patterns in his home closet. It is obvious that Il is very satisfied with her female figure and takes good care of it. Want to confess? Why are you in such a hurry? I have only used 1/10 of my tricks. There are still many things I haven't used yet to satisfy you. Wan Chi smiled faintly, and her movements were orderly, and she did not stop. The eel's eyes became even more terrified. He looked towards Pei Yuan and kept shouting. Although he couldn't speak, Pei Yuan understood his look and was overjoyed. This guy was finally going to confess. Wan Chi raised her knife and stabbed him in the front, and blood flowed out. The 6 little cuties twisted their legs excitedly, trying to climb up. Il screamed even louder and even shed tears. His perfect body could not have any flaws. This woman was too cruel and hateful. Give him another chance, okay? Pei Yuan spoke out to stop him and tried to persuade him in a gentle voice. No, I just want to feed my snake now. Wan Chi flatly refused and grabbed one and put it on the wound. The little cutie bit it without hesitation. The eel was in pain and fear, and its nerves finally broke, and it screamed at Pei Yuan. Pei Yuan tried to persuade Wan Chi a few more times and finally convinced her. I'll give you 3 minutes. If he refuses to confess, I'll continue to feed the snake. When the snake is full, I'll peel its skin. This guy has delicate skin and tender flesh. I'll tattoo a rose on its back first, then peel the skin off and make a lampshade for the skull lamp. It will definitely look good. Wan Chi has already figured out how to make the best use of everything. Il felt a dull pain in his back after hearing this. He looked at the skull candlestick in front of him and imagined that the candlestick was made of his own skull and the lampshade was made of his own skin. My back hurts even more. He considered himself to be more perverted, but this woman was even more perverted than him. He was convinced. No, as long as Mr. Il hands over the list, we will still treat the prisoners well. Pei Yuan said pretentiously. Il breathed a sigh of relief. He had heard that the Chinese treated prisoners the best. As long as he was still alive, he would definitely be able to escape. Pei Yuan closed his jaw. I can hand over the list, but I need a clean identity. The eel raised the conditions again. He hadn't given up yet. 2 minutes left. Wan Chi reminded coldly. The eel shuddered and said quickly, Give me a pen and paper. The list is in my head. He no longer wanted his identity. Right now he just wanted to live. Pei Yuan gave him paper and pen, and Il began to write quickly, writing down each agent's real name and code name, their identity in China, and their current department. There are a total of 20 names, mainly lurking in Tanzhou City and Jiangcheng, and they are all in important departments with high positions. How can I be sure that your list is true? Wan Chi sounded doubtful. It's absolutely true. If you don't believe me, you can go find these 20 people and tell them that the cherry blossoms are about to wither and it's time to go home, and they will take action. This is the code word we agreed upon for the meeting. Il confessed completely, even revealing the secret code. Pei Yuan received the list and planned to ask someone to test the next 20 people. The feast will have to wait until then. If there's a fake on this list, I'll take you guys out for a feast. Wan Chi looked at the eels regretfully, sighed, and put the 6 snakes into the bag. At this moment, Il felt a sense of fear as if he had survived a disaster. It was the first time he felt scared in his 30 or 40 years of work. He had to inform his companions that this Chinese woman must die. Pei Yuan called a doctor to treat the eel's wound. TSK. This is a really good idea. Who came up with it? The doctor was very curious when he saw the jagged wound. He asked Pei Yuan and learned that it was a snake bite. He couldn't help but praise him highly. Pei Yuan did not answer who it was, and the doctor did not ask any more questions. He quickly treated the wound. The eel had lost too much blood and was half dead. Its condition was very bad. However, Pei Yuan did not dare to underestimate him. He still locked him up and sent people to guard him. I want both the skin and bones of the eel. Don't give them to others. Wan Qiqi found Pei Yuan and ordered the whole body of the eel. She wasn't joking before. She really liked the eel skin, which was white and tender, without any flaws, and would definitely make a beautiful lampshade. We have to wait for a while to confirm whether these 20 people are real or fake. Pei Yuan agreed. Come to me. What if the code word eel said was to inform them to run away? The Japanese are very cunning, and they definitely don't tell the truth. I promise to find out everything for you. Wan Qiqi volunteered. As long as he was a Japanese soldier, he would definitely reveal his true colors. Even a ninja as powerful as eel would be exposed sometimes, let alone other Japanese soldiers. Pei Yuan thought about it and felt that it made sense, so he agreed to go and investigate first. 13 of the 20 were in Tanzhou City, and 6 were in Jiangcheng. Wan Qiqi first inquired in Tanzhou City. Manzai was recuperating at home, and she went out for a walk every day and was very active. Lui has not been at home for a while, and she is alone in the empty room, feeling very bored. She might as well go out to work. And she quickly got the whole carcass of the eel and made a beautiful lampshade, which was absolutely beautiful when the light was turned on. In the blink of an eye, it was July, and Tanzhou City officially entered the hot summer. The day was like a furnace, and the sun made people's scalps hurt. Wan Qiqi was fully armed, wearing a hat and long-sleeved shirt, covering himself tightly. She spent a week investigating in Tanzhou City and confirmed that among the 13 people, 8 were Japanese devils and 5 were not. Furthermore, these 5 were all technical elites in the department, which showed how sinister Eel's intentions were. She went to Jiangcheng again and spent another week investigating. Among the 7 people, 5 were Japanese devils and 2 were not. They were also core elites and the backbone of the unit. Wan Qiqi went back to Pei Yuan to report, these 15 people are marginalized people in the unit. I suspect that Eel did not hand over the real list. Retrial. Pei Yuan was not surprised. It was within his expectations. If the eel was so easy to deal with, it would not be an eel. Only, Director Pei, the eel is dead. Someone came to report it was the person guarding the eels. How did he die? Didn't you guys have to watch over him 24 hours a day? Pei Yuan's face changed drastically, and he immediately rushed to the room where the eel was imprisoned. Sure enough, the eel was lying on the ground with black blood flowing from the corner of its mouth, obviously committing suicide by taking poison. Where did he get the poison? Pei Yuan looked very unhappy. Before Eel was imprisoned, he personally searched Eel's body and was very sure that there was no poison in Eel's body. But now Eel had committed suicide by taking poison. His face felt like he had been slapped several times, and it was burning with pain. I don't know. We took turns staring at him without even closing our eyes. I'm sure no one had any private contact with him. The 2 guards were very sure in their tone. Eel was a serious criminal, and Pei Yuan had reminded them again and again that they dared not slack off even for a moment, and even went to the toilet at the wrong time. Went to chat with a few trees outside. Human?
No.
It's a bird. I don't know these little birds. I don't like them. They stink. I want to beat them up. It has never been here before. It must be a foreign bird. It knew the dead man and flew in to talk to him. If a little bird eats the heartbreak grass, it will kill you. The trees talked at once and finally made things clear. Wan Qiqi was a little annoyed. She underestimated her enemy. The Japanese ninjas were really powerful. They could even tame birds. The bird that the trees disliked must have been tamed by the eel. The bird brought him some heartbreak grass, which made him commit suicide. Wan Qiqi's heart shuddered, and she suddenly remembered something. She ran back, turned the eel's body over, and tore off its clothes. Sure enough, there were crisscrossing scratches on its back, and there was no good skin left. The eel's face turned green and the corners of its mouth were raised, as if it was mocking someone. Wan Chichi was furious. The darn Japanese must be mocking her. She was so angry that she kicked the corpse several times. Her rose lampshade was gone, but fortunately the bones were still there. She would ask Leah to deal with them later. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Wan Chichi couldn't help but kick the corpse a few more times, with a stronger kick. The corpse's clothes were torn open a little more, revealing its shoulder blades.
Pei Yuan's face changed.
He squatted down and stared at it intently. On the shoulder blade of the corpse, there was a black chrysanthemum tattooed. He recognized the tattoo. It was the mark of an ancient ninja family from the land of Sakura. This family is famous for training ninjas. Many of the Japanese's outstanding agents come from this family. Even Tian Huangyuchi is very respectful to the patriarch of this family. The mark of the Kikuno family.
Pei Yuan said in a low voice.
The Kikuno family is very powerful? Wan Chichi had never heard of this family. It's a ninja family that has been passed down for hundreds of years. Even the little devil Tian Huang is very polite to them. I didn't expect that the eel is actually a member of the Kikuno family. Pei Yuan's expression was very serious. He was now very worried about whether Eel had conveyed any message to the family before his death. The Kikuno family is the most vengeful and will never give up even if the pursuer reaches the ends of the earth. Let me tell you something. Eels can train birds. They use birds to pass messages to the outside world. The heartbreak grass was also brought by birds. Wan Chichi told the news she had found out. As for the Kikuno family, she was not too afraid, mainly because she had never heard of them. She only knew that Ultraman was more powerful than the others on the Japanese side. Pei Yuan's face became even more serious, and he said solemnly, "Xiao Wan, you should rest at home during this period of time, and don't go out." The person Eel hated the most during his lifetime was Wan Chichi, and he must have reported her to his family. Maybe Wan Chichi has already been on the Kikuno family's wanted list. The treasure he had found with great difficulty must not be harmed. The Kikuno family's headquarters is in Sakura country. There's nothing to worry about. Wan Chichi felt a little heavy-hearted, but she didn't take it too seriously. You'd better be careful. You've made a great contribution this time. Take a good rest.
Pei Yuan warned.
Where do I rank now? Wan Chichi asked curiously. You joined the department relatively late, and you are currently ranked 8th. Your speed is amazing. Even the Tyrannosaurus Rex back then was not as fast as you. Pei Yuan was not trying to comfort her, but was telling the truth. Wan Chichi had only been working for a month, but she was already ranked among the top 10. That was amazing.
¿Tyrannosaurus número 1?
Wan Chichi asked. He has completed 5 months' worth of tasks longer than you. If we only consider this month's tasks, you have definitely surpassed him. Pei Yuan consoled. The year-end ranking is calculated based on the total mission rate, right? Yes, let's not compete this year. Let's compete next year. Compared to this year's, even if I have to do 5 months less of missions, I'm still better than that little bug. Wan Chichi snorted, turned, and left. Couldn't just wait passively for Pei Yuan to issue tasks. She had to take the initiative, go out every day, and look for those suspicious people who might be enemy spies. The task ranking in the Bureau is calculated based on the number of enemy spies captured, so she only needs quantity. Wan Chichi, who had already walked out of the door, turned back and warned. It's hot. Don't keep the body for too long. Quickly move it to Dr. Leah at the military hospital. She knows the procedure. No. Pei Yuan agreed. Wan Chichi walked away with satisfaction. After taking a few steps, she met Comrade Xiao Chao, who had rushed over after hearing the news. I heard a little Japanese soldier just died. Xiao Chao was so excited that he rushed over to take over the corpse. Ever since his staff was seen by his colleagues, there has been a craze for pelvic bones all over the place. The corpses of the Japanese soldiers, which he used to look down upon, have now become hot commodities, causing his bone whip to still not be completed. Yes, but the little devil is mine. I have already made an agreement with Director Pei. Wan Chichi raised her chin, her face full of pride. Fortunately, she acted quickly. You already have so many, give me one. I won't take it for nothing. I'll give you something good in exchange. Comrade Xiao Chao's tone and expression were mysterious. What good stuff? Wan Qiqi became a little interested. How about the 50-year-old wild ginseng? Director Pei asked me for it, but I was reluctant to give it to him. Xiao Chao asked hopefully. Deal. Where's the ginseng? Wan Qiqi agreed decisively. The Japanese were common, but ginseng was not. This deal was a good deal. I left it at home. I happened to dig it up when I was on a mission in Chongbai Mountain some time ago. I'll get it for you later. Xiao Chao was ecstatic. He could finally make a beautiful bone whip. I carefully selected this little devil. She is very pretty. Leave her to Dr. In Lia from the military hospital. She handled her very well. Don't tell anyone else. Wan Qiqi couldn't bear to see her beautiful bones being ruined by someone with no American business sense, so she asked Comrade Xiao Chao to find In Lia, and she would make some more delicious food to reward Dr. In. For the sake of the 50-year-old wild ginseng, she is willing to work harder. Thank you. I'll send the ginseng to your house later. Comrade Xiao Chao ran excitedly to move the corpse. When he saw the well-proportioned eel, his eyes lit up. The delicate flower had not deceived him. It was indeed very beautiful. How beautiful the staffs, bone whips, and skull candlesticks would be. Wan Qiqi first went to Wudong pastry shop and packed a few cakes, then returned to the compound to see Manzai. His injuries were almost healed, and he couldn't wait to go out and play with her. In the next few days, until your injuries are fully healed, I will give you the cake. Wan Qiqi comforted him and told him to rest at home for a few days. Then she would go out to look for enemy spies and try to outnumber the Tyrannosaurus Rex. That night, Lu Yi returned home. He had completed several missions during this period and went home to recuperate. The next day, I received a parcel slip, which was sent from the border. Half a month ago, Wan Qiqi called the border and asked the two brothers to send more beef jerky and mushrooms. She would remit the money. The two brothers agreed. I guess the beef jerky and mushrooms have been delivered. Wan Qiqi asked Lu Yi to go to the post office to pick up the package. He brought it back home an hour later, and it was indeed big and heavy. The beef jerky there is so cheap, and the mushrooms are cheap too. I must go there if I have the chance, and buy some to put in my space. Wan Qiqi opened the package and smelled the rich aroma of beef jerky. She took a piece of dried meat and stuffed it into Lu Ye's pocket, and took a piece for herself and chewed it slowly. There was a letter in the package, written by the two brothers. The handwriting was obviously from Lu Jiefeng. Dear sister-in-law, hello. The leech recipe you mentioned last time is really delicious. Several of my comrades have fallen in love with it and caught it and stewed it with meat in their spare time. I'm sure you like it too. So Yuan Chao and I caught some leeches during our vacation, cleaned them, dried them, and sent you a bag. You and your brother can stew them with meat. It's very nutritious. Wan Qiqi's mouth twitched. These two idiots were too honest. She just mentioned the recipe casually, but the two idiots actually sent her dried leeches. God, stew meat. But this leech stew is really delicious? Wan Qiqi was a little curious. In her previous life, she saw on the internet that some people in the South ate this as a tonic. She didn't expect that Lu Jiefeng's comrades actually fell in love with it. Could it be that it tasted really good? What's this? Lu Yi took out a small bag, opened it, and saw that it contained dried insect corpses. He couldn't tell what it was at first. Darn it, your brother gave this to us as a gift, Wan Qiqi said with a smile. Lu Yi had just picked up a leech for research, but threw it away immediately after hearing what he said. He had been on a mission at the border before and had had a lot of blood sucked by leeches, so he got angry when he saw this thing. Wan Qiqi mentioned the recipe and said with a smile, I just mentioned it casually and these two idiots actually shared it with their comrades. They must have eaten it, and it must taste good. Otherwise they wouldn't have sent it to me. Is this really edible? Won't it kill people?
Lu Ye frowned.
He was fearless, but he was a little afraid of this leech. When I was a child, I heard from the elderly that leeches cannot be killed by burning. Even if they are burned to ashes and thrown into the water, they will turn into thousands of leeches. If you eat them, your body will be full of leeches, and they will suck you dry. Having heard this from the elders since childhood, Louis has a traumatic impression of leeches. He really can't imagine how to eat this thing. You can eat them, but you have to prepare them properly. Leeches are also medicinal herbs. Yuan Qiqi threw the dried leeches aside. She would definitely not eat them unless they could prolong her life. She took out half of the beef jerky, about 4 or 5 pounds, and went back to give it to Leah, who had paid for it. They still ate chicken in the evening. The mushroom-stewed chicken from the border was super delicious. She and Louis never got tired of it. After the dish was ready, Yuan Qiqi personally delivered it to Leah. Leah was frying Chinese kale in the corridor, while Gao Shangjin was mopping the floor. When the couple saw them, they immediately put down what they were doing and rushed over to her in 2 steps. This is beef jerky plus postage, $5.60, and you can have these vegetables. Yuan Qiqi paid the bill and found out that the beef jerky at the border was not expensive and was much cheaper than in the mainland. Such a small amount of money? Isn't it too little? Leah couldn't believe that beef jerky was cheaper than pork jerky. That's the price. It's cheap at the border. Which border? Leah asked. In the southwest border, my family member Louis said that the people there are very friendly to plants and animals, but not to humans. My brother-in-law is sucked blood by leeches every day. Yuan Qiqi saw through her thoughts at a glance. She wanted to be transferred to the border just for this piece of beef jerky, so she quickly stopped her. If Leah was transferred, where could she find another doctor as good as Meishang? Louis is right. It is indeed not suitable for human habitation. There are countless poisonous snakes, beasts, and insects. I have been there for 2 years. Every day when I come back from patrol, my body is covered with leeches. Gao Shangjin knew where it was as soon as he heard it. He happened to have stayed there for 2 years, and it was truly miserable. It was not a place for human beings to stay. When Leah heard the word leech, she immediately gave up the idea of transferring jobs. Beef jerky is delicious, but leeches are even more disgusting, so I decided not to go. Dr. can you peel the skin? Peel it off completely, without any gaps. After talking about personal matters, it was time to talk about serious things. Yuan Qiqi switched to the topic of the underworld very easily. No problem, you want some skin? Leah asked calmly, still chewing beef jerky. Well, I want to make a lampshade. Next time you encounter an enemy with delicate skin, let me know. I'll tattoo a rose first and then you can peel it. Is that okay? Okay, I'll keep an eye on it for you. Leah agreed. It was a matter of convenience. Thank you, take your time eating, bye. Yuan Qiqi said goodbye with a smile and went home to eat. Gao Shangjin asked quietly, Comrade, Yuan wants leather to make a lampshade? It should be a skull candlestick lampshade. It's very beautiful. Leah had seen the skull candlesticks of the Yuan family. They were so unique and beautiful that she was a little tempted and wanted to get a pair of dragon and phoenix candles for herself. Wife, let's eat. Gao Shangjin saw through her thoughts at a glance and interrupted her quickly. It was okay to process bones for others, but it was okay at home. If you put a skull candlestick on the bedside table and then wake up in the middle of the night, open your eyes, and come face to face with a skull, that feeling would be really uncomfortable. How about the dragon and phoenix candles? It's very romantic at night. Leah's thoughts were not interrupted. She even imagined the scene of the skull-shaped dragon and phoenix candles in her mind. Yuan Qiqi told her that it would be very romantic to light the candlesticks when having love at night. If we order a pair, it would be more romantic, right? Gao Shangjin immediately had a scene like this in his mind. He and his wife each had a skull candlestick beside their beds. Whenever they got up at night, no matter which side they looked, they would see a skull. Gao Shangjin took a deep breath and advised in a gentle voice, Now that we have electric lights, candles are no longer necessary, right? Are you scared? Leah snorted softly. How is that possible? I'm a real man. I've been on the battlefield and fought the enemy. You can't say such things in front of the children. Let's talk about it in private. You can light the dragon and phoenix candle if you want, but you can't light it when the children are here. Gao Shangjin couldn't stand any provocation and immediately became assertive and agreed to the dragon and phoenix candlesticks. So what if it was hell? The children would be here soon anyway. The two children are in Shanghai, taken care of by their grandparents. They only come to live with them during the winter and summer vacations. The children will be here in a few days. Gao Shangjin couldn't help but feel secretly happy. Fortunately, he thought quickly and came up with a perfect reason. New. Leah agreed readily, but there was a hint of mischief in her eyes. Wan Qiqi sent some more money to the two brothers to buy beef jerky. She also wrote a letter asking them not to send leeches in the future, as she could not afford such filial piety. Lu Yi rested at home for 3 days and then started to get busy again because he heard from Director Mu that Jiahua from Group B caught an eel and 15 Japanese devils in one breath, climbing to the 8th place at the speed of light, which was even better than he was back then. Who couldn't stand the slightest provocation, immediately went to carry out the mission without stopping, working harder than in all the previous years combined. But Lu Yi had a problem. He was very picky about the tasks he was assigned. He would not do tasks that were too easy. He would only take on difficult tasks, which resulted in him taking a longer time to complete tasks. On the other hand, as for Wan Qiqi, she is not picky at all, as long as it is a Japanese devil. These days, she took Manzai and Mama Zhang out for a stroll and ate various delicious snacks. There were many delicious snacks in the alleys of Tanzhou City, which were delicious and cheap. After several days of investigation, Wan Qiqi circled out a dozen suspicious persons and had to deal with them face to face to determine whether they were really the Japanese devils. The first target is a male. His surname is Tian. His given name is Tian Yuguang. He is around 30 years old, a university lecturer majoring in mechanical engineering at Wuhan University, unmarried, a good subordinate in the eyes of his superiors, a good comrade in the eyes of his colleagues, a good teacher in the eyes of his students, and he has a very good reputation in the school. Tian Yuguang was a native of Tanzhou, but he grew up in an orphanage in the city. His parents died in a bombing during the war. Because he was smart and studious, he became a university teacher and joined an organization. If he is really a Japanese soldier, then he has really infiltrated our ranks. That's terrible. The third update is done. Let me explain here. Manzai calls the male protagonist Ye. There is no special meaning. It is just a pronunciation problem. Ye equals Ye. The male protagonist and Manzai knew each other when they were young, so they have a good relationship. The reason why Wan Qiqi suspected Tian Yuguang was that this guy refused to get married at his age. School leaders and colleagues introduced him to potential partners, but he rejected them all with various reasons. In addition, female students in the school would also take the initiative to show their affection to him, but he rejected them all. There is nothing wrong with being single, but Shushu said that Tian Yuguang would often relieve himself late at night, and the frequency was very high. Moreover, the photo he used to comfort himself was of a beautiful female teacher at school. This female teacher once took the initiative to show her affection to Tian Yuguang. Since he liked this female teacher so much, why would he refuse? Therefore, Wan Qiqi suspected that he had a secret that he could not tell anyone and was afraid that after marrying the female teacher, this secret would be exposed, bringing him fatal danger. Tian Yuguang has a hobby of hiking on weekends. He climbs Yuelu Mountain behind the school almost every weekend. This weekend, Wan Qiqi brought Manzai and Mama Zhang to hike as well. After breakfast, they took the ferry to Heshi and then rode their bikes to Yuelu Mountain. The two men and the dog climbed slowly. There were quite a few people on the mountain. Most of them were college students from the universities at the foot of the mountain. Although they were dressed simply, each of them was in high spirits and exuded confidence. Tian Yuguang likes photography, and he would stop to take pictures after walking a few steps, so he walked very slowly. Wan Qiqi and the others soon caught up with him and followed him slowly. Manzi, let me test you. How high is Yuelu Mountain? As a native of Tanzhou, you must know. Wan Qiqi chatted with Manzai as if she was talking about family matters. Yes, 300 meters. Manzai answered with a smile that Qiqi had just told him, and he still remembered it. That's great, but 300 meters is not accurate. Can you be more precise? Wan Qiqi's tone was encouraging. Manzai tilted his head, his eyes confused, and was unable to answer. 300.8 meters. Tian Yuguang in front couldn't help but speak up and gave the exact number. He was of medium height, gentle and handsome, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, a white shirt and trousers. He spoke the Tanzhou dialect very authentically, and there was no trace of the Japanese devil in him at all. Wow, you must have grown up in Tanzhou, right? Otherwise you wouldn't know it so clearly. Wan Qiqi praised sincerely with a face full of praise, praising the other party very highly. Yes, I was born and raised in Tanzhou, and I am a native of Tanzhou. Tian Yuguang looked slightly proud as he spoke, but it was not noticeable unless you looked closely. No wonder you know so much about Yuelu Mountain. We didn't grow up in Tanzhou, so we don't know much about it. Are you a school teacher? Wan Qiqi used the accent of her hometown, which was a bit similar to the Tanzhou dialect, but there was still a difference. You could tell she was from a small county town as soon as you heard it. Manzai's accent is not particularly authentic. He has been traveling around the country with his parents since he was a child, so his accent is very mixed. Moreover, the Liu family generally speaks Mandarin and rarely speaks Tanzhou dialect. Yes, I'm a teacher from HUSD. Are you here to play in Tanzhou? Tian Yuguang was a very friendly person and thought that Wan Qiqi and Manzai were here for tourism. Wow, you are amazing. You are a university teacher at such a young age. My sister married and moved to Tanzhou. She came here to play for a few days and will go home in a few days. Do you teach history?
No, mechanically.
My father is also a mechanic. He is a level 6 fitter. Wan Qiqi's tone was particularly proud when she spoke. Tian Yuguang smiled and behaved gently and patiently throughout the whole process, giving people a comfortable feeling like a spring breeze. Why do you only take pictures of the scenery? What a waste. Film is very expensive. Wan Qiqi asked deliberately. She found that the pictures taken by this guy were very mysterious. They seemed unintentional, but some of them were taken in the direction of the garrison. There are garrisons in Yuelu Mountain. Wan Qiqi was 80% sure that this guy was a Japanese devil. But she had to try again. Iwanting, what a nice name. Who came up with it? They arrived at the Iwan Pavilion, and Wan Qiqi talked to herself in a voice that was neither too loud nor too soft. Manzai and Mama Jiang both tilted their heads, their big eyes full of confusion. They didn't know. The Iwan Pavilion was originally named Hongya Pavilion. It was built in 1792. In the 57th year of Emperor Qianlong's reign, it was founded by Luo Dian, the head of Yuelu Academy. Later, by Yuan, the governor of Huguang, changed the name to Iwan Pavilion because of a poem. Stop the car and sit to enjoy the maple forest in the evening. The frosted leaves are redder than the flowers in February. Tian Yuguang couldn't help but start popularizing science again, and he spoke in great detail. Wow, you're awesome. Wan Qiqi was generous with her praise, and her big eyes were full of admiration. No, I just like reading. Tian Yuguang raised the corners of his mouth, looking contented. Then do you know the origin of Yuelu Mountain? Wan Qiqi asked again. Yuelu Mountain was originally named Linglu Peak. Later, it was described in Nanyue Ji as follows. Nanyue is 800 miles around, with Huiyan as the head and Yuelu as the foot.
After that, it was called Yuelu Mountain.
Tian Yuguang explained the origin of Yuelu Mountain very clearly and eloquently. You are amazing. You are worthy of being a university teacher. Wan Qiqi gave him a thumbs up. It's just SOSO. You'll understand a lot more if you read more books. Tian Yuguang's face deepened, and his vigilance relaxed a lot. He believed that Wan Qiqi was just a simple fool who was easy to be deceived. Arigatou gozaimasu. Wan Qiqi suddenly said thank you in Japanese and bowed deeply. Arigato. You're welcome. Tian Yuguang bowed back reflexively, also in Japanese. Soon as he finished speaking, his expression changed drastically. Ferocity appeared on his gentle face, and his gentle eyes became cruel. He looked around quickly, and when there was no one around, the ferocity in his eyes became even more intense, and his first reaction was to kill these two people. But just as he had this thought, the bone whip came at him, and his face suddenly felt burning with pain. Tears and snot flowed, and his glasses were knocked off.
Who are you?
I am Tian Yuguang, a teacher at HUST. I have a good family background, and I am innocent. Why are you hitting me? Tian Yuguang cried out loudly for justice and seemed particularly innocent. A few people came over who happened to be students from HUST. They knew Tian Yuguang and rushed over to save him. What did you do to teacher Tian? Several students were very angry. Tian Yuguang was a teacher they respected very much, and Wan Qiqi was so hateful. The police are arresting us. Get out of the way. Wan Qiqi casually took out her police ID. In order to facilitate the action, she asked Pei Yuan to get a police work permit. After seeing the work permit clearly, several students hesitated and did not dare to stop him. Why are you arresting me? I am innocent. Tian Yuguang is still crying out for injustice. He has been hiding for more than 10 years and is so unwilling to accept this. Wan Qiqi was too lazy to talk nonsense. She swung the bone whip and wrapped it around his neck flexibly, and his screams stopped abruptly. If you still want to study in school, shut up or
Drop out.
Wan Qiqi warned coldly. Several students were so scared that they quickly shook their heads and promised not to say anything nonsense. After going down the mountain, Wan Qiqi called Pei Yuan and asked him to send someone to pick her up. The person who came was Comrade Xiao Chao. He had been bored recently and often went out naked in the middle of the night. Because he made some mistakes when performing a mission, Pei Yuan punished him to reflect at home for a month and was not allowed to go out on any mission, so he could only do some logistical work. As soon as Xiao Chao saw Tian Yuguang, his eyes lit up. He touched his chin and looked him up and down, making a clicking sound. Yes, the bone structure is really good, comparable to that of an eel. Can we make a deal? No, you already have the eel. I want this one for myself. Wan Qiqi flatly refused. She also fell in love with Tian Yuguang, who was fair-skinned and very handsome. I have another ginseng plant that is no less than 50 years old. Xiao Chao is quite greedy. He also wants to make a dragon and phoenix candlestick. The candlestick has high requirements for the head shape. He has made an eel one before, and the only one missing is Tian Yuguang. Wild ginseng can save lives. Keep it for yourself. Although Wan Qiqi was tempted, she was not greedy. The 50-year-old ginseng that Xiao Chao gave her last time was still quite fresh. She planted it in the space. It would produce a lot of ginseng in the future, so there was no need to change it for another one. I still have one that's 100 years old. Xiao Chao acted as if he was rich and powerful. He had no shortage of ginseng. After all, going to Changbai Mountain is like visiting his own backyard. He can come and go as he pleases. Wan Qiqi twitched her lips and agreed to the deal. Anyway, there's still a few suspects behind, and they all look good. The lurking Japanese soldiers are probably carefully selected. Their appearance and figure are similar to those of the Chinese, and none of them are particularly ugly. Tian Yuguang, who was standing next to them, could hear what they were saying. He knew every word, but when they were put together, he didn't understand what the dragon and phoenix candlesticks were. What does it have to do with him? Tian Yuguang didn't understand. He felt a strong sense of uneasiness and struggled desperately. Xiao Chao slapped him and knocked him unconscious. He would take the person back for interrogation, and after the interrogation, he would make a dragon and phoenix candlestick out of it, which he could use in his bridal chamber. Although Comrade Xiao Chao is still single and doesn't even know which direction the door of his future mother-in-law's house faces, he asked the I Ching master in the bureau to predict that he will have his wedding night at the age of 26. He is 25 now, which means he will have his wedding night in a year, so he must prepare the dragon and phoenix candlesticks in advance. It was still early, so Wan Qiqi decided to meet the second suspect. Female, Su Xiaoying, 36 years old, wife of the deputy director of a large state-owned factory. Although it is her second marriage, the couple has a very good relationship. Su Xiaoying has no children and treats the children left by her ex-husband as her own. The children also respect her very much. Su Xiaoying was well known in the factory for her virtue and kindness. Everyone praised her as the best stepmother in history and regarded her as a role model for women to emulate. The reason why she was considered a suspect was because Su Xiaoying was particularly fond of cleanliness and liked taking baths. Not everyone who likes to take a bath is a Japanese devil. There are Chinese people who love to take a bath too. However, before Su Xiaoying married the deputy factory director, she was just a woman who grew up in an ordinary family. The conditions in her parents' home did not allow for taking a bath at all. But it is also possible that after marrying the deputy factory director, Su Xiaoying's conditions improved and she fell in love with taking baths. Therefore, Wan Qiqi decided to test him in person, determined not to wrongly accuse a good man, nor to let a Japanese soldier go. Su Xiaoying lived in the factory staff building, which was a little far from Yuelu Mountain. Manzai took her on a bike, and Mama Zhang would run for a while and stop from time to time. Sometimes, she would run far ahead and still stop to wait for them. Qiqi, how do you know he is a Japanese? Manzai was very curious and asked on the way. Because he knows it too precisely. If you randomly ask a Tanzhou person on the street how high Yuelu Mountain is, they will basically answer 300 meters or 200 to 300 meters. No one will be accurate to the decimal point. As for the origin of Yuelu Mountain and Iwan Pavilion, who would care about this? Only the Japanese would care. I bowed again to test him, and he was exposed. Wan Qiqi patiently explained that what really confirmed the other party's identity was the final bow. He used to praise Tian Yuguang so that he could let down his guard, and then suddenly bowed and said something in Japanese, and Tian Yuguang would subconsciously return the greeting because he was still a Japanese at heart, and it was impossible to change his deep-rooted habits. As for those illusions, who among the locals would care to know them? Only the lurking Japanese devils, who are afraid of not pretending to be Chinese, would try hard to learn about them. Manzai seemed to understand what he said and asked more questions. Wan Qiqi answered them patiently. An hour later, they arrived at the gate of the arsenal. It was now past 2 in the afternoon, and the gate was closed and heavily guarded. Wan Qiqi did not enter the factory. The family building was not inside the factory but behind it. They went around to the back of the factory. The family building was an old-style tube-shaped building, similar to the one where Wan Qiqi lived. Downstairs, there were a few old men and women sitting under the sycamore tree to enjoy the cool air. Some were playing chess, some were chatting, and they all looked quite leisurely. Wan Qiqi pretended to ask for directions and soon became familiar with the old men and women. She even got a small stool and sat down to chat with them. My uncle works in a winery. I came here to have fun. I'll be back home in a few days. It's no problem to buy wine. The factory manager is my uncle. I'll help you negotiate the internal price later.
Thank you, Andy. I'm Festi.
When Wan Qiqi said, the factory director is my uncle, several uncles and aunts immediately looked at her differently and were especially polite. The aunt who wanted to buy wine even generously took out 2 pieces of watermelon and offered them to her and Manzai. You can definitely buy some at the winery if you go to Wan Qiqi. At most, you can only buy 2 bottles. If you buy more, you'll make a mistake. Wan Qiqi told Director Lin's phone number that every employee in the winery has an internal price, so there is no problem buying a few bottles. What's more, she helped the factory to recover so much debt, which is a great honor for her. Director Lin will definitely not be stingy. Thank you, sister. The aunt was overjoyed that the internal price was much cheaper and she didn't need a ticket. This beautiful girl was really generous. What are you thanking me for? I even ate your watermelon. Wan Qiqi finished eating the watermelon cleanly, and so did Manzai. The auntie was reluctant to throw away the watermelon rind, so she took it home, cut off the gnawed part, washed it, and cooked it. Su Xiaoying walked over from a distance, carrying a basket of vegetables. She was not tall, but slim, with fair skin and dimples when she smiled. She was not particularly beautiful, but gentle and sweet, with a very comfortable appearance. Xiaoying is back from shopping. Wow, she bought a lot. Everyone greeted her warmly, and Su Xiaoying responded to everyone with a smile. She didn't have any airs of a factory director's wife, and was very friendly. My 3rd child has his birthday today. Let's have a nice dinner together tonight to celebrate. Su Xiaoying explained with a smile that the 3rd child she was talking about was the youngest daughter of the deputy factory director. Although she was not her biological daughter, She had a very good relationship with her, just like a real mother and daughter. I've heard of you. You cook delicious food, right? My uncle always praises your cooking at home, and my aunt is not happy about it. Ruan Chichi was shouting loudly and acting carefree. Who is your uncle? Su Xiaoying looked at him for a few times and was sure that she had never seen Ruan Chichi before. Her uncle is the director of the winery. The enthusiastic aunt helped to explain. Oh, it's Director Lin. Thank you for your compliment. Su Xiaoying suddenly realized and quickly called out Director Lin's name, smiling shyly and being very humble. Your cooking must be delicious. My uncle rarely praises people. Are you going to make egg rolls? My aunt can never make this dish well. Ruan Chichi saw the eggs and meat in the basket and guessed that she was going to make omelets. According to the information in Su Xiaoying's file, her hometown is the same as Shanglahua's, and that county loves to make egg rolls during festivals. Yes, egg rolls are not difficult to make. You just need to master the steps and the heat. Su Xiaoying had a proud look on her face. She had devoted herself to studying cooking for more than 10 years. How could a mere Chinese woman compare to her? Then can you teach me? I'll go back and teach my aunt so that she and uncle won't have to quarrel all the time. Ruan Chichi took out paper and pen from her bag, looking particularly eager to learn. The proud Su Xiaoying explained patiently, explaining every step in detail, from beating the eggs to adding seasonings. Wait a minute, I just missed it. How much salt should be added? Ruan Chichi asked. 15 grams of salt, 25 grams of sugar. The author doesn't know how to cook, so the amount is random. Don't be picky. Ruan Chichi glanced at her and wrote down the number of grams. What does gram mean? How many taels? The enthusiastic aunt listened very carefully. She also wanted to learn how to make egg rolls, but she didn't understand this. Su Xiaoying's expression changed slightly, and she quickly said, 1 liang is 50 grams. I was influenced by Lao Li and got used to saying grams. But it was too late. A bone whip rolled over like a snake and wrapped around her neck accurately. Everyone was shocked and looked at Ruan Chichi in astonishment, not understanding why they started fighting while talking. Girl, what's wrong with you? Asked the enthusiastic aunt. I'm a police officer. Don't ask any more questions. Ruan Chichi showed her ID and Su Xiaoying's face changed drastically, but she quickly calmed down, cried out loudly for justice, and asked someone to notify Deputy Director Li. What are you arguing about? Your family will be reunited soon. Ruan Chichi knocked her unconscious with a palm strike, then went to the guard at the gate to call and notify the police to come and pick her up. Who came was Comrade Xiao Chao. He had just brought Tian Yuguang back to the book and had not even sat down when he was sent out again. Are you poking the devil's nest? Xiao Chao was very envious. If they could catch 2 Japanese devils a day, Jiahua would definitely get the first place. I have eyes of fire and golden pupils. Ruan Chichi smiled mysteriously, seeming particularly unfathomable. Your special ability is the fiery eyes and golden pupils? Xiao Chao believed it and became even more envious. He also wanted to have Sun Wukong's fiery eyes and golden pupils. If there is really no other option, just give him Sun Wukong's somersault skills. He is not picky. Ruan Chichi just smiled and neither denied nor admitted it. When Comrade Xiao Chao saw her like this, he immediately believed it and was jealous of him to death. Deputy Director Li was reviewing documents in his office. Xiao Chao walked in and showed his ID. Although Deputy Director Li was surprised, he still cooperated and did not make a fuss. Their 3 children were also taken away. The eldest worked in an arsenal, and the second and third were still in school. Su Xiaoying still wanted to deny it, but Pei Yuan had plenty of ways to deal with ordinary agents like her. After only 1 hour of interrogation, the woman confessed. She was ordered to marry Deputy Director Li. While being a good wife and mother, she also collected a lot of important documents and drawings of the arsenal and sent them to her superiors, causing great losses to the country. Deputy Director Li found out about this. He was heartbroken. He couldn't believe that the person he loved so much was actually a Japanese devil, and that she had used him to steal so much intelligence, causing serious losses to the country. He is guilty. Deputy Director Li was being used. He himself had serious problems and would face imprisonment. Wan Qiqi took a fancy to Su Xiuying and went to Pei Yuan to ask for the body. After the interrogation, I will send the body to Dr. Yin. Pei Yuan was in a very good mood and was very easy to talk to. The way he looked at Wan Qiqi was even kinder than the way he looked at his own daughter. His life was that he got ahead of Director Mu and poached Wan Qiqi, the great treasure. In just one day, he captured 2 lurking Japanese soldiers. Such efficiency and speed were far beyond the reach of Group A's Tyrannosaurus. Where do I rank now? Wan Qiqi asked with concern. 7th, come on, I have faith in you. Pei Yuan was full of confidence in her. At this rate, the first place would definitely go to Group B. Wan Qiqi frowned slightly. He was only ranked 7th. Never mind. He would take a few days off and continue catching the Japanese. She wants to roll that little bug to death, humph. Xiao Wan, let me ask you something. How do you know for sure that they are the Japanese? Pei Yuan was very curious. This was also the question that Tian Yuguang and Su Xiuying had. They felt that they had hidden themselves very well and were more Chinese than the Chinese themselves. How did they get exposed? I asked Su Xiuying for advice on cooking, and she described the amount of seasoning to the exact 15 grams. Chinese housewives add seasonings at random when cooking, and at most say 1 or 2 spoonfuls, and no one would say grams. She is an ordinary housewife, and she can say grams skillfully, which is very suspicious. Wan Qiqi explained that even in later generations, many Chinese housewives were used to using liang as a unit of weight, and no one would say gram. She had used her compliments before to relax Su Xiuying's guard, and then suddenly asked about the seasoning, and she would subconsciously answer in the most familiar way, just like Tian Yuguang returned the greeting with a bow. No matter how cleverly these devils disguise themselves, they cannot change their inherent habits, and once they relax their minds, their flaws will be exposed. These were all what Wan Qiqi learned on the internet in her previous life. The Japanese devils have always been evil, and even in later generations, there are still many lurking Japanese devils, so there are many methods to identify Japanese devils on the internet. She put them into practice and found them to be useful. Pei Yuan couldn't help but give a thumbs up. These methods could be learned by people in the bureau and would definitely come in handy. Wan Qiqi went to Dingyi's place, packed some cakes, and went home with Manzai. 2 Japanese devils were captured today, so she decided to make something delicious to reward herself. She didn't know where Lu Yi had been these days, and he hadn't been home for a week. She also didn't know if that arrogant guy had been taught a lesson by Lu Yi. Guoguang Hotel. Lu Yi came back to report on his work. This time he went to Xiangxi, found a Japanese soldier who was hiding very deeply, and solved a mystery from many years ago.
He gained a lot.
You've worked hard. Go back and have a good rest, and spend more time with your wife. Director Mu didn't tell him that Jiahua from Group B captured 2 Japanese devils in one day, and her ranking quickly rose to 7th. We can't provoke Lu Yi anymore. This guy finally got married, but after only 3 months, he's leaving his new wife alone in an empty house. That's not nice. He is a good leader who is considerate of his subordinates. Although being number 1 is important, Lu Ye's family harmony is more important.
New.
Lu Yi also wanted to go home to be with his wife. He had been very busy recently, and he hadn't had dinner with Qiqi for a long time. Bring your wife home for dinner one day. I haven't even met her. Director Mu said with a smile. We'll talk about it when we're free. It doesn't matter if you meet him or not, as long as I give him the red envelope.
Lu Ye answered insingeral.
Anyway, Director Mu's red envelope was already in his pocket, so it didn't matter whether he went to the dinner or not. You took the money, but you don't acknowledge it. Go back now. Director Mu cursed with a smile, then waved her hand in disgust to send the person away.
Gone.
Lu Yi took a few biscuits from the drawer of his desk, ate them while walking, and soon disappeared. Director Mu smiled and shook her head, muttering to herself, Jiahua, Pei Yuan really got a big treasure. But he was not too anxious. Jiahua was only ranked 7th now. With only half a year left, she should not be able to catch up with his Tyrannosaurus. Even if they really catch up, it doesn't matter. Group A has always been the first in the past years. It's time to let Group B have a taste of being the first. We can't be too greedy. Director Mu doesn't know yet that in the near future, he will not only have to give up the first place, but also give up his big baby Tyrannosaurus. Otherwise, he will definitely not be so calm. The third update is done. Even now, the people around me still use Jin, Liang, and Qian as the units of weight in their daily lives. Few people say kilograms and grams. I will continue tomorrow. Good night. P.S. I would like to explain that all the perverted and cruel punishments in this article are only for enemies. The readers may be students. The author does not want to corrupt children. Here, only enemies are used. In the 1970s, everyone was a soldier. The background of the times is different. It is definitely not possible to do this now. Readers can just enjoy it. Please do not imitate it. Also, the author is just a little crazy, but not perverted. Although I like bone ornaments very much, I don't even have a fake bone ornament in real life. I just enjoy it secretly in the book. This is the author's ambition. Wan Qiqi went to the market to buy some vegetables and returned to the compound with Manzai, each going home. After completing several missions, Manzai has matured a lot. As long as he doesn't speak, you can't tell that he is different from ordinary people. Although the weather is hot, the family building downstairs is still bustling. Everyone sits under the shade of the trees and chats. Now few people have fans at home, so it is cooler under the shade of the trees. Wang Shuhua came back from afar carrying a load on her shoulder. She was wearing a straw hat and holding a hoe. There were a lot of things that looked like sweet potatoes in the load, but the skin was yellow. Wan Qiqi recognized it at a glance. It was yam. It is sweet and delicious when eaten raw, and can also be eaten fried, but she likes to eat it raw because it is very juicy, crispy, and sweet. The yam I planted is a little small, you can take a few home to eat. Wang Shuhua saw that she wanted to eat, so she took the initiative to pick up a few and put them in Wan Qiqi's basket. Give me a few more, and I'll trade you some meat. Wan Qiqi took out a piece of meat from the basket, which weighed about a pound, and threw it into Wang Shuhua's burden. Oh, a few yam are not worth much. Take the meat back. Wang Shuhua wanted to return the meat, but Wan Qiqi refused. She took a few more sweet potatoes from the basket and went straight upstairs. Knowing her temper, Wang Shuhua did not return the meat, but she asked her daughter to bring some sweet potatoes. Wan Qiqi ate 2 yam to satisfy her craving, and then made dinner. Yam is delicious when eaten raw or cooked. She cooked a pot of mung bean soup, pork ribs and winter melon soup, stir-fried blood duck, shredded pork with green peppers, pounded peppers and preserved eggs, fried fish with peppers, steamed fish with rice, and a big pot of braised pork. The weather was hot and she was too lazy to cook for every meal, so she simply made a little more at a time and put it in the space to eat slowly. Qiqi, I'm back, was heard in the corridor. Wan Qiqi raised the corners of her mouth and placed the dishes that were prepared to be put in the space on the table. She also took out the mung bean soup from the cold storage in the space. It was icy cold and especially delicious. Drink mung bean soup, freshly chilled. Luyi was carrying a lot of bags. As soon as he entered the house, a big bowl of mung bean soup was handed to him. He grinned, put down the things, picked up the bowl, and drank it all in one gulp. It tastes good. Luyi was still not satisfied, so he ordered another bowl. He drank 3 bowls in a row, and all the heat disappeared. Wan Qiqi filled a large bowl of uncooked mung bean soup and a lot of dishes and asked Luyi to deliver it to the Gao family. Yin Lia's 2 children are here. There are many people in the family, so please send more food. There are a lot of Japanese devils recently, and Yin Lia has been very busy. Wan Qiqi felt bad for her, so she specially made a big bowl of sweet and sour pork ribs for Yin Lia and her 3 daughters. Hello, Uncle Lu. Yin Lia's 2 children sat quietly at the door of their house. When they saw Lu Yi, they greeted him politely. The older brother is 7 years old and looks very much like Gao Shongjin, but he is whiter than his father. He is very gentle and well-mannered, and at first glance you can tell that he is a very stable child. My younger sister is 5 years old. She has the best qualities of both her parents and is as pretty as a doll. Good. Luyi smiled and gently touched the 2 children's heads. He liked pretty and polite kids. Gao Shongjin, come out and get the food. Lu Yi called out, and Gao Shangjin came out after a long time, with dust on his head, looking like he had just crawled out from under the bed. "What did you do?" Lu Yi asked curiously. "Don't mention it. The little jerk hid my watch, and I couldn't find it after searching for a long time." Gao Shangjin glared at his son as he spoke. The jerk is getting less and less fun as he grows up. It's all because of his father-in-law and mother-in-law who spoil him. They always told him not to beat or scold his children, but to respect them and to reason with them patiently. The father-in-law and mother-in-law also used their daughter-in-law as an example, saying that only if the daughter-in-law is educated in this way since childhood will she have a bright future. Gao Shangjin didn't believe it at first, but when he used his wife as an example, he believed it. He really wanted a child as good as his wife, so he readily handed both children over to be educated by his father-in-law and mother-in-law. The result was that he raised a very cunning son who was only 7 years old, but was more cunning than he was. He said that beatings can produce filial sons. How could the ancestors be wrong? But if he beat his son, his wife would definitely kick him off the bed and make him sleep on the floor at night. The next day, he would have to receive phone calls from his father-in-law and mother-in-law, which would be more annoying than Tang monk chanting sutras. Fortunately, I have a sensible and lovely daughter. Gao Shangjin looked at his daughter with relief and comforted himself silently. Why did your son hide your watch? Lu Yi became even more curious. My father made a bet with me, so I hid it. The 7-year-old son explained loudly, adding, Dad, if you just admit defeat, I will hand over the watch. You're not going to lose, I'll definitely find it out. Gao Shangjin glared with gritted teeth. He was the father. How could he admit defeat to his son? Even if he had to dig up all the dirt in his house, he would still find his watch. Dad, you made a mess of the house. Mom will definitely be angry when she comes back. The son reminded kindly. The consequences of Mom's anger can be serious. Gao Shangjin's face changed drastically, and he turned around immediately, ready to restore the house to its original state. Lu Yi couldn't bear to see him being so cowardly, so he did a quick check and hooked his finger at the busy Gao Shangjin. Gao Shangjin came closer and was stunned when he heard Lu Yi mention a place. He reached into his trouser pocket and took out a watch.
Grass.
He searched for a long time and found the watch was always on him. You jerk, I'll treat you to fried pork with belt. Gao Shangjin, who was so angry that he was embarrassed, pulled off his belt and was about to teach the jerk a lesson. The most dangerous place is the safest. You are the chief of staff, but you can't even think of this.
And you want to hit me?
I want to tell my grandparents. The son ran away very fast and did not forget to look back to provoke his old father. The father and son chased each other and staged a full-scale fight. Lu Yi was very happy and shouted, Gao Shangjin, your son is more capable than you. Gao Shangjin was too busy to deal with him as he was busy beating his son, but he was just threatening him and didn't really do anything. Your cousin is back. Lu Yi leaned on the railing and saw Leah coming back from get-off work from afar and reminded her loudly. Gao Shangjin immediately braked, quickly fastened his belt, and dragged his son home. The father and son tidied the house in just a few minutes at the speed of light, and there was no trace of the previous mess. Leah returned home and said nothing, but just looked at Gao Shangjin and his son meaningfully. The vase is placed wrong. It was 45 degrees this morning, but now it's 55 degrees. Be careful next time. Leah reminded lightly and moved the vase so that the angle between the flower at the mouth of the vase and the cabinet returned to 45 degrees. I see. Wife, you are really amazing. You can tell the degree with your naked eyes. I am so successful because of my ancestors' good deeds. I was able to marry such a capable and excellent wife like you. Gao Shangjin started to flatter Leah in various ways again, using the same old rhetoric, but Leah liked to hear it. The brother and sister next to them looked at each other and rubbed their arms together, feeling so disgusting. Fortunately, they lived with their grandparents and didn't have to suffer every day. After dinner, Leah sent the processed bones to their Wan family. The bones were from an eel and were beautifully processed. Leah thought that this was what Wan Chichi wanted. Leah came with her daughter. When Wan Chi saw the pretty and lovely little girl, her eyes suddenly lit up, and she generously took out snacks and candies to treat the little girl. "Thank you, Auntie. The little girl has a very sweet mouth." "You're welcome." Wan Chi touched the little girl's face with a smile. It was so soft that she really wanted to pinch it a few times. Leah sat for a while, and then took her daughter home. "Mom, I want it too." The little girl whispered a request, saying that the bones were so beautiful, and she also wanted to use them as toys. "When I have time, Mom will get you one." Leah agreed readily, and didn't think her daughter's hobby was wrong because she used to play like this when she was a child. While other children played with building blocks and dolls when they were young, she played with various bones. This was because her father was a very good orthopedic surgeon, and there were often various bone specimens at home. Her knowledge enlightenment started with bones. While other children memorized 300 Tang poems since childhood, she memorized the structure of human bones. While other children played with building blocks, she played with bones. Thanks to the unique toys she played with in her childhood, she was able to become an excellent orthopedic surgeon. Therefore, Leah strongly supports her daughter playing with bones. "Don't let your dad see." Leah reminded her husband that he always thought his daughter was a soft and cute doll, so it would be better not to let him know the truth. After all, it is sad enough that her IQ is not as good as her son's. If her husband knew that she had a daughter who liked to play with bones, she was afraid that her husband would not be able to bear the blow. It would be a sin. "I know, Dad is timid. I will be careful." The little girl agreed obediently that she would be very careful. The mother and daughter smiled at each other, held hands, and went home. They were greeted by the attentive Gao Shongjin, and the family was very happy. The next day, Wan Chi got up late. She and Lu Yi had a long time apart, and they made love until midnight. They both slept late and got up at around noon. "Deputy Captain Liu." Phone call. Someone called downstairs. Lu Yi went downstairs to make a phone call, and I came back a few minutes later with a bad look on his face. The old man called and said that Mo Hepping went to the farm and had a fierce argument with Yuan Huilan. "What does your father mean? What does their quarrel have to do with us?" Wan Chi didn't quite understand. Lu Dishing was indeed being a bit nosy. "The old man asked me to talk to Uncle Mo, but Uncle Mo went to a meeting and his call was not connected." Lu Yi said, "It won't work even if Uncle Mo goes. Mo Hepping is exactly like your mother. They are both sophisticated egoists who will subconsciously choose the side that is beneficial to them." Wan Chi shrugged, seeing through Mo Hepping. The mother and daughter were of the same kind. The only conflict now is that Yuan Huilan's identity has harmed Mo Hepping's interests, so the mother and daughter have become enemies. Unless Yuan Huilan takes the initiative to divorce, this knot cannot be untied. "Don't worry about them. It has nothing to do with us." Lu Yi sneered and was too lazy to get involved. However, he still went to find Mo Chiofeng and conveyed Lu Dishing's words. "Hepping is back? Why didn't she call me?" Mo Chiofeng's face darkened, and he became more and more disappointed with his daughter. Maybe she misses her mother.
Luya ansveret perfunctoril.
Mo Chiofeng looked helpless, and his temples began to ache. A judge to judge family affairs. He can handle official business well, but he cannot handle these trivial matters at home. Seeing him like this, Lu Yi kindly advised, "Why don't you just divorce my mother, and everyone will be happy?" Nonsense. Husband and wife should share hardships together. How can they divorce just because of a small problem? Mo Chiofeng scolded that he and Yuan Huilan did not get married for love, but were introduced by the organization. Jiang Xinmei's sacrifice, his identity, was about to be exposed. He spent a lot of effort to safely withdraw to the base with the intelligence and 2 children. Afterwards, he met Yuan Huilan through the organization's introduction. At that time, it was rumored that Lu Dishing had died, Yuan Huilan had lost her husband, and he had lost his wife and 2 children. After the two met, they felt good about each other and formed a family. There was no love, but they had lived together for so many years, so there must be feelings. He was not the kind of person who would run away when faced with disaster. What's more, in his opinion, what happened to Yuan Huilan was nothing. He had made all the arrangements. As long as Yuan Huilan stayed in the cadre school for a year or two, she would be able to return to work smoothly and do the same thing as before. But he would not tell these words to Yuan Huilan. The long period of undercover work had made him develop the habit of keeping everything in his heart. No matter what it was, he would not share it with his family and would only digest it himself. Yuan Huilan often complained about this, blaming him for not treating her as a family member. He explained the reason, but Yuan Huilan didn't quite understand it. She felt that since she was no longer lurking, there was no need to do this. He didn't say anything, but he didn't change it either. Habits formed over many years are not so easy to change. Besides, he didn't want to change it. He thought it was a good habit. Only when the secret was kept in his own heart could it be a real secret, and he would be completely safe. It's up to you whether you want to leave or not. Anyway, my message has been conveyed. Louis didn't try to persuade him much. No matter what choice Mo Chiofeng made, it had nothing to do with him. But he still said something extra. Mo Heping is actually the same as her mother. Uncle Mo, you can't control it. Unless you make a choice, either divorce my mother or break off the relationship with Mo Heping.
Chi told you.
Mo Chiofeng asked with a smile. As soon as I heard it, I knew it was Wan Chi who said it. Louis is not such a delicate mind, and he would not think so deeply. Louis did not deny it. It was indeed what Chi said to him, and she also said that Mo Chiofeng's final choice would most likely be to break off the engagement. What else did Chi say? Mo Chiofeng became interested and wanted to hear the opinions of bystanders. I didn't say anything, just that you would choose to break off the relationship. Louis told the truth. Seeing Mo Chiofeng's expression stagnated, he couldn't help but ask, Uncle Mo, do you really want to break up with Mo Heping? It's not me who wants to break off the relationship. It's her own choice. Since she enjoys the affluent life given by me and her mother, we have to share the hardships together. If we can't share the hardships together, then we have to break off the relationship. Don't be too greedy and want this and that. Mo Chiofeng sneered coldly. His emotions were calm without any fluctuation. Seeing how calm he was, Louis suddenly felt some respect for him. No wonder Mo Chiofeng could lurk in the enemy's lair for so many years and still retreat safely. This kind of character is truly extraordinary. If he were in Mo Chiofeng's situation, he would definitely be so angry that he would run to the capital and teach the unfilial girl a lesson. Louis returned home and told Wan Chi about this. Uncle Mo is too rational. Now I know why he is called Taishan. His code name back then was Taishan? Wan Chi asked curiously. Yes, Taishan was the most mysterious intelligence officer back then. The enemy searched for him for a long time, but couldn't find him. It wasn't until Uncle Mo retreated to the base that the enemy realized that Taishan was right beside them. Louis's tone was full of admiration. As steady as a rock, Uncle Mo is awesome. Wan Chi also admired him very much. Although Mo Chiofeng was not very qualified as a husband and a father, he was definitely an outstanding revolutionary worker, and his contribution to the country was unquestionable. It is impossible for people to be perfect and excel utmost in work. There will inevitably be some shortcomings in life. Louis nodded and agreed. So, I advise Uncle Mo to divorce. My mother is not worthy of him. Uncle Mo won't divorce. He may not have love for your mother, but he has family affection. He is not the kind of person who would run away when faced with disaster. Wan Chi said firmly. If Mo Heping still wants a future, he will choose to break off the relationship. But she didn't know that the final result was something no one had expected, and it developed in an incredible direction. In July in Tianzhou, it gets hotter day by day. The sun is bright every day, and the asphalt road is smoking and emitting a bad smell. The road is soft when you step on it, and your sandals may be burned. My mom didn't want to go out. Even when she lay under the shade of a tree, she was so hot that she kept sticking out her tongue. Wan Chi was afraid of the heat and didn't want to go out. She was not in a hurry to go out and test the remaining suspects. She would wait until the weather was cooler before going out. Louis no longer went on missions and stayed at home with her every day. During the day, Wan Chi basically stayed at home. After closing the doors and windows, she went into the space to enjoy the cool air. The temperature in this space is constant all year round, neither too cold nor too hot, which is much more comfortable than outside. At night, she and Lu Yi also slept in the space, which was very cool. One day, Wan Qiqi was eating a watermelon in the space. Someone knocked on the door. She came out holding the watermelon and turned on the fan. Then she went to open the door. It was Wang Tsuehua. "I thought you were at home," and was about to leave. Wang Tsuehua had a smile on her face and was holding a basin in her hands with a lid on it, so it was impossible to see what was inside. "Come in and sit down." Wan Qiqi let her in and cut a piece of watermelon for her. "Thank you. I haven't had watermelon this year." Wang Tsuehua was flattered and took the watermelon. She took a bite and put it down without eating any more. "Why don't you eat?" Wan Qiqi asked. "I'll just try it and take it back for the kids." Wang Tsuehua explained embarrassedly. "Eat it and take the rest back for your children." Wan Qiqi pointed to the remaining half of the watermelon and generously offered it as a gift to her. Who has changed her petty habit of stealing, is still somewhat lovable. At least the food she cooks makes her very satisfied. "Thank you. I was just saying that you are the most beautiful and lucky girl in our building. All the women in the building combined are not as lucky as you." Wang Tsuehua flattered the emperor earnestly, and her nice words seemed to be free of charge. "Don't say such hateful words. I'm afraid of getting beaten." Wan Qiqi said with a smile that she couldn't stand such flattery. "Who can beat you?" Wang Tsuehua muttered softly, raised her head and smiled awkwardly, then ate the watermelon in 2 or 3 bites. She was reluctant to throw away the watermelon rind and took it home to make a dish. "I haven't dried the orange peels yet, but I have pickled the grapefruit peels. They are delicious. How about you try them?" She took the initiative to open the lid, and inside was pickled pomelo peel, which looked delicious. Can grapefruit peels be pickled? It was the first time that Wan Qiqi saw pickled pomelo peel. She had only had honey pomelo tea before. You can also use grapefruit peel to cook dishes. It's delicious. Wang Tsuehua talked about the method of stir-frying pomelo peel, which is a bit troublesome. You have to soak away the bitterness in the pomelo peel first, which is time-consuming and laborious. Wan Qiqi plans to do it when she has time. She picked up some pickled pomelo peel with chopsticks and ate it. It tasted really good and could be eaten as a side dish. Pickled grapefruit peel. The method can be found on Baidu. The author does not know how to do it. It's delicious. Thank you. Wan Qiqi accepted it. "What are you thanking me for? We are all family members living in the same building." Wang Tsuehua spoke very generously, but Wan Qiqi knew that this woman would not do anything without profit. However, she understood that no one wanted to work for nothing. Finally, Wang Tsuehua went home satisfied, holding half a watermelon. Dinner. Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi were very satisfied with the pickled pomelo peel and prepared to ask Wang Tsuehua to pickle some more. Time flies, and it is late July in a blink of an eye. There was a heavy rain yesterday, and the next day it was cloudy and windy, and it was not so hot. Wan Qiqi was about to go out to look for the Japanese when Wang Tsuehua called out from the door, "Sister Wan, do you want to buy some watermelons? They're very cheap, only 1 cent a pound."
So cheap?
Wan Qiqi was not interested at first because she couldn't finish all the watermelons in her space, but when she heard such a cheap price, she couldn't help but ask. Watermelons outside cost 2 or 3 cents per pound, and she had never seen watermelons that cost 1 cent per pound before. You have to go to the farm to pick the watermelons yourself, and then you have to find a truck to bring them back. Let's bring 2 trucks back and share them together when the time comes. Wang Tsuehua explained with great enthusiasm that every summer, the women in the residential building would go to the farm together to buy watermelons. Each family could get about 10, and the price was much cheaper than buying them at the fruit store. Sure. Wan Qiqi agreed. She had never been to a farm to pick watermelons before, and it should be fun. 5 or 6 women gathered downstairs, including Wang Shuhua, Lu Danny, Sang Qingfeng, Lu Sanmei, Zhang Hohat, and Shang Lehua, all waiting for Wang Tsuehua. "Wang Tsuehua, are you going to pee or give birth?" Lu Danny yelled impatiently, Wang Suihua said she was going to pee, but she didn't come downstairs after a long time. Come on, Sister Wan, come with us. Wang Suihua responded by shouting, and even tried to pull Wan Qiqi enthusiastically. Wan Qiqi took a step back and said disdainfully, "You just went to the toilet. Don't get close to her. I wash my hands." Wang Suihua quickly explained that she was a person who paid particular attention to hygiene. "Then don't touch me." Wan Qiqi walked to the front, and it would take at least an hour for the smell to dissipate. Wang Suihua curled her lips in dismay, complaining in her heart, "You don't go to the toilet? Can you survive by starving? Humph, who are you looking down on? Sister Wan is here too. Let's go quickly. If you go too late, the big watermelons will be picked by others." Lu Danny was an impatient person. When she saw them coming downstairs, she got on her tricycle and left. "Why are you in such a hurry? I haven't gotten on the bus yet." Wang Suihua grabbed the car and climbed up. Everyone else climbed into the car, leaving Wan Qiqi, the only one standing. Shang Lehua mustered up the courage to ask her to get in, looking a little embarrassed. "I ride a bike." Wan Qiqi pushed out the bicycle and followed behind. The group rode towards the farm in a mighty manner. 3 women set the scene, and now there are 8 women. Even if you exclude the taciturn Wan Qiqi, there are still 7 talkative ones. They gossiped all the way, and with the accompaniment of Lu Danny's laughter, it was very lively. Wan Qiqi listened with a smile. As expected, it was from the old times. The gossips about each sister-in-law's hometown were so explosive that even the screenwriters of later generations could not write them. "What you guys are saying is nothing. In my hometown, there was a girl who got married. Her father-in-law visited her every few days, and her son-in-law didn't think much of it. But one day, he got in bed with her and found out that they had been having an affair before they got married. Her mother-in-law turned a blind eye to it. What a mess this family is." Lu Sanmei said something even more exciting. The others were not willing to be outdone and started talking about similar things that had happened to them, which made Wan Qiqi very confused.
This
is too wild and too disruptive to one's worldview. The farm is in the suburbs. The closer to the suburbs, the fewer pedestrians and vehicles there are on the road. Lu Danny is riding in the front. She is strong and rides very fast. The tricycle behind is ridden by Wang Shuhua. "Hey, what's going on over there?" Wang Suihua shouted, pointing forward. Wan Qiqi heard the sound and looked over. He saw a military green truck parked there and 2 soldiers repairing the car. "Go see if you can help." When everyone saw that they were soldiers, they stopped the car and walked over enthusiastically. Lu Danny asked loudly if they needed help and said that they were from the Tanzhou military region.
Thank you, sisters-in-law.
"We came from Hangzhou. The car will be repaired soon." The standing soldier answered enthusiastically, and the one squatting was older, probably around 30 years old. "In Hangzhou, and this vehicle should be a troop transport vehicle." Lu Danny chatted with them for a while, and then decided to continue going to the farm. Wan Qiqi raised her feet and heard the conversation between the 2 people. "Why do you always turn the screw 3 times and then turn it back half a turn?"
How slow,
said the standing soldier. "I'm used to it." The squatting soldier smiled. The 3rd update is done. Regarding tightening screws, the author has encountered this before at work. German and Japanese engineers are very strict. They must tighten the screws 3 times and then return them half a turn. At that time, this operation did not exist in China, and it was even considered redundant. But in fact, tightening the screws in this way can indeed make them tighter. Wan Qiqi put down her raised foot, turned around, walked over, bent down, and whispered in Japanese into the squatting man's ear, "Your button is unbuttoned," and the little bird flew out. The squatting man's expression changed slightly, and his hand subconsciously touched his crotch. But he reacted quickly, retracted his hand, and continued to tighten the screw. Wan Qiqi reacted faster and kicked him to the ground. The standing soldiers and Lu Danny and the others were a little confused and didn't understand what was going on. "He's a little devil," Wan Qiqi screamed. The Japanese soldier who was kicked down had a fierce look in his eyes. He reached out to grab the wooden warehouse, but was kicked away by Wan Qiqi. Lu Danny and the others also came to their senses and rushed over one after another. Wang Suehua took the lead and ran very fast, rushing in front of the Japanese soldiers like an exploding egg. "You darned little devil, I'll kill you." Wang Suehua slammed into the Japanese soldier's body, and both of them fell to the ground. Then Lu Danny rushed over and sat down. Her big butt, which was the largest in the family building, played a huge role at this moment. With friction and friction, the Japanese soldier couldn't breathe. "Lu Danny, you didn't wash your butt last night, it stinks." Wang Suehua didn't have time to get up and was caught in the crossfire, almost suffocated to death. "I take a shower every day, so get out of the way and don't get in my way." Lu Danny moved a little, and Wang Suehua climbed up and sat on the Japanese soldier's belly. Wang Shuhua and the others were no less enthusiastic. One was massaging his feet, another was massaging his hands. In an instant, the little Japanese soldier felt as if 6 huge mountains were pressing down on him. Not to mention getting up, he even had difficulty breathing as he was pinned down by Lu Danny's big butt. Shang Lihua was the only one left, but she was a step slower and lost her place. However, she suddenly had an idea and quickly came up with a good idea. She took off her shoes, allowing Lu Danny to make some room, and then she slapped the Japanese soldier in the face. "You darn little Japs. I'll beat you to death." "Wait, let me fart first." Lu Danny's stomach growled a few times, and Wang Suehua and others quickly covered their noses. After living in the same building for a long time, they all knew that Lu Danny's farts were so smelly that they could kill an elephant. Wan Chi-Chi was just a beat slow and didn't have time to cover her nose before a foul smell wafted over. She immediately held her breath and took several steps back. Lu Danny touched her stomach comfortably and felt comfortable after expelling the gas. The Japanese soldier, she sat on, rolled his eyes and fainted. "Lu Danny, the Japanese soldier was suffocated to death by your fart." Shang Lihua made a major discovery and screamed in surprise. "Duck you. If my farts were that powerful, I would apply to go to the border and fart every day to suffocate those jerks." Lu Danny's face darkened. "Why did you say her farts smell bad? Whose farts smell good?" "I fainted, it's okay." Wan Chi-Chi covered her nose and walked over to check. The patient was still breathing, so he was not dead. "It's really unstoppable. I'm not satisfied yet." Lu Danny was still not satisfied and even had a brilliant idea. Wake up this little devil and continue beating him. "Okay, my father was killed by the Japanese, darn it, I really want to cut him into pieces." Wang Suehua gnashed her teeth in hatred. Her father was killed by the Japanese devils, and her mother raised 5 siblings alone. Life was bitter than the bitterest time. During the hardest times, her mother often went out in the middle of the night, and when she came back, she would bring some food, such as sweet potatoes, yams, and radishes. Thanks to these foods, the brothers and sisters did not starve to death. It's just that she took over her mother's job and had been fond of stealing since she was little. She didn't steal money, but only food and things that were within her reach. She was used to stealing and couldn't change it no matter what she did. Fortunately, she met Sister Wan, who helped her change. "Do you have any evidence?" How could Lao Lin be a Japanese soldier? The other soldier was skeptical. Lao Lin was very respected in the army, so how could he be a Japanese? "How can Miss Ron be wrong? He is a Japanese soldier. You are in the same group with him, so you are also a Japanese soldier, right?" Wang Suehua had a mysterious admiration for Wan Chi-Chi. When she heard this boy actually questioning her, she began to doubt him as well and rolled up her sleeves to fight. "You jerk, if you say that, I'll beat even women." The man immediately got angry and called him a little devil. He was even more angry than calling him a cheating cousin. He really knew how to beat a woman. He shouldn't be. The phrase "and I mama be" makes me feel like I'm from the same hometown as you. People from other places can't curse like that. Wang Shuhua grabbed Wang Suehua. The Japanese devils definitely couldn't curse her in that way. She started chatting with the man and talked a lot about her hometown. As they talked, they even became relatives. "Wu Meiying is your cousin, so you have to call me aunt. Wu Meiying is my husband's sister-in-law. Is your man Peng Zhiguang? Right? The two chatted more and more enthusiastically and even left their contact information. Our sister Juan is very powerful. This guy must be a Japanese. You should go back and report to your leader, Wang Shuhua said.
I see.
The man's expression was very serious, and he was a little scared. He actually went out with the Japanese devils. Fortunately, he met these sisters-in-law on the road. He found a hemp rope from the car, tied up the Japanese soldier, then drove to the nearest telephone booth and called the Tanzhou military region and Hengqin. Tanzhou military region sent someone, and it was Liu Yi, because he was the most idle person in the entire military region. Deputy Captain Liu, thanks to your cousin's cleverness, he saw through the Japanese at a glance. He is so powerful. Wang Suehua said attentively. Sister Juan, how do you know he is a Japanese? Liu Danny and the others were very curious. This old Lin looked no different from a Chinese person, and his accent was undetectable. The Japanese like to tighten the screws 3 times and return half a turn. I used the Japanese language to test it, and it turned out to be the Japanese. Wan Chichi generously shared her experience. She hoped that all citizens could develop vigilance and catch the lurking Japanese devils. Sister Wan, you are amazing. You can even speak the language of the Japanese. Sister Wan, what did you say to the devil? Everyone started to flatter them and wanted to learn a little bit so that they could use the same tricks to try again when they had the chance. Who knows, they might even be able to gain merit. Nothing, just that the button of his pants was unbuttoned and a little bird flew out. Wan Chichi said with a smile. Everyone praised her again, and their admiration for Wan Chichi was beyond words. After the incident with the Japanese devils, they could no longer buy watermelons and had to go back to the military region to cooperate with the investigation. Lao Lin has woken up. Under Liu Ye's unique interrogation, he confessed everything. Over the years, he has obtained a lot of intelligence in Hengqin and passed it on to his superiors. Fortunately, he was only in the transport class and could not touch the core, so no major damage was caused. Lao Lin informed his superiors, but he had never met them. Every time he got information, he would put it in the place designated by his superiors, and someone would go to get it. Liu Yi reported the results of the interrogation to his leader, saying that Lao Lin was just a marginal figure and not of much value. Wan Chichi was a little disappointed, as she thought she could pull out a whole bunch. Wang Suehua and the others were very happy because Mo Qiufeng commended their bravery and said he would give them a bonus. Although we didn't buy watermelon, everyone was very happy. I don't know how much the prize money is, maybe $5? Wang Suehua said expectantly. You only care about money. No matter how much the bonus is, I won't spend it. I will frame it and keep it as a family heirloom, Liu Danny said with pride. This is her merit in capturing the Japanese devils, and it is not ordinary money, so it must be framed. I don't spend money either. Everyone else said they didn't know how to spend the money, and that they wanted to learn from Liu Danny and frame the painting as a family heirloom.
Then
I won't spend it. Wang Suehua also changed her tone. Although she felt a little painful, she became happy again when she thought about how she had captured the Japanese with her own hands and received praise from the political commissar. Mo Qiufeng was very efficient. Early the next morning, the radio broadcast commended Wan Chichi and her friends for their heroic deeds. This was the busiest time in the family building. People were busy cooking in the corridor, washing in the bathroom, and there were also a bunch of people in the toilet. When the broadcast sounded, everyone stopped what they were doing and listened carefully. Liu Danny, did you really catch the Japanese? Wang Suehua, you can still catch the Japanese?
it's a rare thing.
The family building was filled with fuss and sounds of envy and jealousy. How could the arrest of the Japanese devils be fake?
This was all thanks to Sister Wan.
People with intellectuals are smart. They saw through the Japanese devils at a glance. Otherwise, we would have needed a military advisor to fight a war. Sister Wan was the military advisor, and we were the thugs. She talked, and we did the work. Together, we arrested the Japanese devils. Liu Danny was very eloquent. She described the scene of catching the Japanese devils yesterday in vivid detail, even describing the details clearly, except that she didn't say that she farted. Why didn't you tell me you farted? The Japanese were knocked unconscious by your fart. Wang Tsuehua added loudly. Your farts smell good? It's like you don't fart at all. My farts don't smell good, but they're not as smelly as yours. You have a big butt, so your farts also smell bad. Soon, the topic shifted from the Japanese devils to farting. Lu Danny and Wang Tsuehua, the two enemies, started arguing with each other, and the family building was very lively. The bonus was also distributed. 200 yuan was shared by 8 people, and each person received 25 yuan. Lu Danny and the others were even happier. This was a windfall. The 7 of them discussed it and decided to go to the farm and buy a lot of watermelons. They gave Ruan Chichi about 20 of them, which weighed more than 200 kilograms. Thanks to Miss Ruan, we were able to make a fortune. We carefully selected these watermelons. You and Deputy Captain Lu can enjoy them slowly. Lu Danny had the best eloquence and was elected as a representative of the 7 people to express their gratitude. Thank you. Wan Chichi didn't hesitate and accepted the watermelons. Sister Wan, can you teach me a few words of the Japanese language you spoke the other day? Wang Tsuehua was very motivated and wanted to learn the Japanese language. She mainly wanted to make money, because she suddenly realized that nothing could make money faster than catching the Japanese devils. She could get a reward of 200 yuan for each one. If she caught a Japanese soldier by herself, she would get 200 yuan. If she could catch 10 Japanese soldiers, she would get 2,000 yuan. The more Wang Tsuehua thought about it, the more beautiful it became. She naturally felt the motivation to learn the Japanese language. If for no other reason than the money, she would study hard and catch the Japanese every day. Sister Wan, I want to learn it too. I'll just learn a few phrases that the devils often use. Maybe I can use them. Lu Danny and a few others also expressed their desire to learn because the money was so tempting. 1 Japanese soldier equals 200 yuan equals 400 kilograms of pork. Even if you only catch 1 Japanese soldier a year, you will make a lot of money.
Okay, come in.
Wan Chichi readily agreed. It is better to teach now than to wait for another day. Lu Danny and a few others entered the house. There were not enough stools, so they ran back home and brought back small stools. They sat down and listened to the lecture like elementary school students. Wan Chichi only taught a few daily expressions, which were not difficult to learn. Lu Danny and the others learned them quickly, but they still felt a little unfamiliar when speaking them. You will become proficient with more practice. When you use these to test the Japanese, you can't do it deliberately. You have to take advantage of the other party's relaxation and suddenly ask questions. Only then will it be effective. Also, you have to protect yourself first. Don't give up your life for the bonus. Wan Chichi repeatedly reminded him that she was worried about these women, who would not even care about their lives in order to earn bonuses. Safety is definitely the first priority. We know what's going on. Lu Danny and others agreed immediately. They have families and their lives are definitely more important. During this period, there was a learning craze in the family building, and everyone was going there for the high bonus. When Mo Chiofeng found out about it, he thought it was a great idea. The enemy is everywhere, and only when everyone is a soldier can these enemies have nowhere to hide. Another person who is also working hard to learn Japanese is Manzai. Ever since he and Wan Chichi went out to capture the Japanese, Manzai took the initiative to ask to learn Japanese. Grandpa Lu once studied in Sakura country and could speak fluent Japanese. He would take time out every day to teach Manzai. Soon it was the end of the month, and Wan Chichi captured 3 more Japanese devils during this period, ranking 6th. Although she likes number 6, she only likes number 1 in terms of ranking. So she planned to continue her efforts to catch the Japanese devils. That day, Wan Chichi received a call from Zhang Weihong, asking her to go shopping. Zhang Weihong's voice sounded tired and a little hoarse. Where have you been? I haven't seen you for a while. Wan Chichi asked curiously. She went to look for Zhang Weihong a while ago, but she was not there. People in the factory said she had taken a long vacation. I went back to Beijing to take care of my mother. She is not in good health. Is your mother okay now? She passed away. Wan Qiqi was silent for a few seconds and said, "My condolences. I've already prepared myself mentally. It's nothing." Zhang Weihong was not too sad. Her mother had always been in poor health and suffered a lot from the illness. Death might be a relief for her mother. Wan Qiqi happened to be free, so she went to the tea house to meet her. Zhang Weihong was wearing a white shirt and black pants. He looked a lot thinner, but he was in good spirits. "My mother died," with a smile on her face. It was a relief for her. "I am not sad. I followed my mother's instructions on the funeral arrangements. Everything was kept simple. Half of her ashes were buried in Beijing, and the other half were buried in my hometown, together with my grandmother. My mother and my grandmother had a good relationship." Zhang Weihong had probably been holding it in for a long time and had a strong desire to talk, so she said a lot. Wan Qiqi listened quietly, acting as a qualified listener. "The night my mother passed away, she talked a lot about her experiences when she was young. Then I understood why she always wore black, gray, and blue, and why she was always so serious. She said sorry to me and said that she shouldn't ask me to do that because of her own experience." Zhang Weihong smiled bitterly a few times, feeling very uncomfortable. The reason why her first marriage failed was because her ex-husband thought she was old-fashioned and boring, and she couldn't stand his bullying, so she filed for a divorce. Her father opposed it, but her mother supported it, so the divorce went through. She had become accustomed to the black, gray, and blue tones, but when her mother was dying, she told her that it was wrong and asked her to change. Zhang Weihong felt a little resentful. She would rather her mother not regret it and let her get used to black, gray, and blue forever. The mother's regret was like peeling off the scab that had already healed, making her wound bleed again. She felt so uncomfortable. Wan Qiqi listened to the story of Zhang Weihong's mother and found it to be similar to what she had guessed. Zhang's mother was from Tanzhou. She was lively and loved dressing up when she was young, and her family was well off, but her father was a very old scholar who was very strict with her. One day, Zhang's mother dressed up beautifully and went to attend her classmate's birthday party. Because she was having so much fun, she forgot the time. It was getting dark, so her classmate asked her to stay overnight and go back the next morning. But the Zhang family had a rule that one could not spend the night outside. Zhang's mother was afraid of being scolded by her father, so she decided to go home. The place was not far away, and it was not completely dark yet. The young mother Zhang did not expect that this decision would ruin her life. In the alley not far from home, Zhang's mother was bullied and returned home in dishevel. Grandpa Zhang knew what had happened at a glance and beat her half to death. He also scolded her for being unfaithful and attracting many men. "I usually tell you to dress plainly, but you just won't listen. Flies don't bite cracked eggs. Why don't those hooligans go after others but you? You have brought shame to my Zhang family. I won't be able to face my ancestors after I die." Grandpa Zhang put all the blame on his daughter, thinking that it was because she was too frivolous that she attracted the hooligans and caused the Zhang family to lose face. In order to save face, Zhang's father even wanted his daughter to commit suicide. Fortunately, Zhang's grandmother strongly opposed it and saved his daughter. But since then, Zhang's mother could no longer wear bright colors, only black, gray, and blue, and she could not laugh, no matter what time. At first she would protest, but after being punished by her father, she obeyed and was even completely brainwashed. She really thought that she would be bullied by hooligans just because she was too frivolous. After marriage, Zhang's mother taught her daughter in the same way, which led to Zhang Weihong's old-fashioned and mature personality. It was not until the end of her life that Zhang's mother came to her senses and expressed her regret to her daughter. "She might as well not tell me. My marriage has already failed, and I probably won't get married again in the future. What's the point of her telling me that she regrets it?" There was a hint of resentment in Zhang Weihong's tone, and she recalled many childhood memories. When she was a child, she also longed for beautiful skirts and laughed happily, but every time she asked to wear a skirt or laughed, she would be punished by her mother. Over time, she got used to black, gray, and blue, and got used to being serious. "You are not old. You are only 31 years old. Life has just begun, and it's not too late to change now." Wan Qiqi advised.
It's not that easy.
I'm used to it. Zhang Weihong looked self-deprecating. She had also tried wearing a skirt, but after putting it on, her whole body felt awkward. Even in the house, she felt uncomfortable and she didn't have the courage to wear it outside. Everything is difficult at the beginning, but once you take the first step, the rest will be easy. Wan Qiqi encouraged her and took her to the department store to buy a skirt. Zhang Weihong was still in mourning, so she picked out a blue skirt for her, which went perfectly with her white shirt. She also took her to the barber shop to get a younger hairstyle. Just these slight changes brought about a huge change in Zhang Weihong. Her face was still the same, but her temperament was completely different. Zhang Weihong now looks much younger and more beautiful. Although she is not a great beauty, she has pretty eyes and eyebrows. In her previous outfit, the color was only 30% of that in the previous outfit. Now she has simply returned to her original appearance. I feel uncomfortable all over. Why don't you put your pants back on? Walking on the street, Zhang Weihong didn't know where to put her hands and feet. She just wanted to change back to her pants and previous hairstyle so that she could feel at ease. Why are you so awkward? Hold your head high and chest out. You look pretty this way. If you don't believe me, I'll ask for you. Wan Qiqi stopped a passing middle-aged woman and asked with a smile, My sister is going on a blind date. Does she look good dressed like this? You look very knowledgeable. Can you help me with some advice? Was a little unhappy at first, but when she heard that she was asked for advice, she immediately perked up, looked Zhang Weihong up and down, nodded and shook her head from time to time, which made Zhang Weihong's mood up and down, and she felt even more uncomfortable all over. She's pretty and her clothes are fine, but she's not very generous. She should hold her head high and be more confident. Your sister is restrained and not generous at all. The aunt made some very pertinent suggestions. Don't I look ugly dressed like this? Zhang Weihong asked in disbelief. What's so ugly about it? It's just too plain. Young girls should wear flowery dresses, which are so beautiful. The aunt was very enthusiastic and recommended several skirts, all of which were the most fashionable at the time. Thank you, Auntie. Wan Qiqi thanked the old lady, and she left reluctantly, not forgetting to ask Zhang Weihong to make a floral skirt for her. Did you hear that? Let's go and finish walking the street. Wan Qiqi dragged people to continue walking. Zhang Weihong looked thoughtful, more natural than before, but still a little awkward. However, Rome was not built in a day. Zhang Weihong has taken the first step, and things will definitely get better and better in the future. The next day, Wan Qiqi received a call from Guan Jihua, inviting her and Lu Yi to dinner. An old friend of your Uncle Lu and I came to Tanzhou and invited him and his daughter to dinner at the Xiangjiang Hotel. You and Xiao Yi came with us. You are not strangers, but Zhang Weihong's father. You and Weihong are friends. Guan Jihua spoke with much more energy. Thanks to the medicine given by Wan Qiqi, she is in much better health now.
Oh.
Wan Qiqi agreed. The dinner was in the evening. Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi rode their bikes to the hotel. Xiangjiang Hotel is a high-standard hotel in Tanzhou City, and important guests are received here. Manzai was standing at the entrance of the hotel, and when he saw them, he happily came over to greet them. Qiqi, yeah. Manzi reached out to pull Lu Yi and gently touched his head, just like when they were little. When Lu Yi was a child, he was not as tall as Manzai. Every time he went to Lu's house for dinner, Manzai would ask him to play house games. Lu Yi would be the baby and Manzai would be the father, and they would have a lot of fun. Wan Qiqi met Zhang Weihong's father Zhang Zigua, who is said to be in a high position of power in the capital, and his rank was higher than Mo Qiufeng. No wonder Mo Tsongrong was obsessed with living off her. But Wan Qiqi's first impression of Zhang Zigua was not very good. This man gave her a very gloomy feeling. Her intuition was very sharp. If the first impression was not good, it meant that the other person was definitely not her type, and she must stay away from him. Fortunately, Zhang Zigua was far away in the capital, and she was in Tanzhou. Unless something unexpected happened, they would never have any dealings with each other in this life. Hello, Uncle Zhang. Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi called out politely. Don't be so polite, your mother and I are friends. We are family. Zhang Zigua spoke in a very kind tone and in a very warm manner. Zhang Weihong glanced at him, feeling puzzled. Her father was not a very approachable person, so why was he so nice to the Chi-Chi couple whom he met for the first time? Mr. Liu, are you really not considering going back? Halfway through the meal, Zhang Zigua brought up the matter of returning to the capital. In addition to his wife's funeral, the main purpose of his visit was to persuade Mr. Liu to return to the capital. I'm old and not in good health, so I'd better not go back and burden you. You are young and strong, and it's time for you to show your talents.
Come on.
Mr. Liu refused with a smile. Zhang Zigua tried to persuade him a few more times, but Mr. Liu refused to listen, so all his efforts were in vain. Manzai drank a lot of drinks and his stomach was bloated, so he needed to go to the bathroom. Do you want me to accompany you? Lu Yi asked. No need. Manzai is an adult. Manzai refused, saying that he was a working adult now and had to go to the toilet by himself. Lu Yi smiled and didn't follow. There are staff and security in the hotel, so nothing will happen. Manzai found the bathroom, unbuttoned his clothes, and peed comfortably.
There was a short man next to him, who was also peeing.
The toilet was filled with the sound of water, but the short man was doing it in bursts, and the sound was intermittent. Manzai couldn't help but glance at him, and saw that the man was a little short, so he couldn't help but look at him a few more times. The short man felt his gaze, and a gloomy look flashed in his eyes, but he did not show it. He just quickened the speed of draining the water, because he did not want to be stared at all the time. Manzai was particularly sensitive to people's emotional changes. He felt the gloom in the man's eyes, and some intermittent images flashed through his mind. The third update is finished. Chi-Chi and Lu Yi will arrange a meeting for them. It will be soon. Don't worry. Some familiar yet unfamiliar images flashed through Manzai's mind. On his hideous and distorted face was an ugly and cold smile. Familiar and friendly face was covered in blood. They tried hard not to make any sound, but ultimately failed to control themselves. Don't be afraid, Manzi. Uncle won't feel any pain. Don't look, Manzi. Manzai, close your eyes. Uncles, aunts, and uncles rang in his ears, and their familiar and friendly faces and kind and loving eyes seemed to be right in front of him. Even when they only had one breath left, they were still comforting him, telling him not to be afraid and to close his eyes and not to look.
Look.
This is what happened to you and your mother for not wanting to confess. Look carefully. You and your mother killed them all. As long as you tell me your father's name and phone number, I will let them go. The cold and merciless voice rang in his ears again. Every syllable was like an awl, piercing his heart heavily and causing him so much pain that he could not breathe. Memories suddenly flooded up like a tide, and Manzi was unable to digest them for a moment. His heart ached so much that he almost suffocated, and his mind was in a mess. Sometimes the faces of his uncles and aunts, and sometimes the ugly and cruel faces of bad guys, appeared in his mind alternately.
Take a deep breath.
Inhale forcefully and exhale forcefully, and you won't feel uncomfortable anymore. Wan Chi-Chi's voice rang in his ears. Manzai quickly took a deep breath and exhaled. After taking several deep breaths in a row, he felt much better. Chi-Chi said that if you feel uncomfortable, just breathe deeply and you will feel much better. It really works. The sound of water beside him stopped. The short man shook himself comfortably, buttoned up his clothes, and turned around to leave. As he turned sideways, the short man glanced at Manzai with deep malice in his eyes. If the situation did not allow it, he would definitely teach this lowly Chinese a lesson. How dare he look down on his male dignity? Manzai's heart felt like being pierced by a red-hot needle. The burning pain made him alert. His clear eyes became deep, and he looked towards the short man. He became more and more sensitive to smells. Although he didn't know this man, he intuitively felt that this man was a bad guy, the same bad guy who killed his uncle and aunt. Thank you for your care. Manzai suddenly bowed and spoke standard Japanese. Chi-Chi said that as long as you say this to the Japanese, as long as they are Japanese, they will basically react. Sure enough, the short man was stunned for a moment, and before his brain could react, his waist had already bent. He reacted quickly, and after bending a little, he straightened up and prepared to leave. "Little devil, I'll beat you to death." Manzai suddenly jumped up and kicked the Japanese soldier. He was tall, and this kick sent the Japanese soldier flying and hitting the wall heavily. "Here it comes, the psychopath is killing people." The Japanese soldier's ribs were almost broken. He endured the pain and ran outside, shouting for help. Manzai's eyes turned red. He rushed forward, grabbed the man's neck with his backhand, and pulled him to the ground. He then rode on him and beat him left and right. "I'll beat you to death. You killed Uncle Ian, Aunt Hung Yu, and Uncle Yu. You bad guy, I'll beat you to death." Manzai's honest face became ferocious, and his clear eyes also showed more murderous intent, one after another. At first, the Japanese soldiers shouted a few times, but later they were silent. The hotel security personnel arrived quickly and recognized the beaten Japanese soldier as the deputy director of a certain department, a position of not low rank. As for Manzai, it was his first time in the hotel, and they didn't know him. So the first reaction of these security personnel was to pull Manzai to rescue the deputy director. "Bad guys, you are all bad guys." The angry Manzai was like a mad beast, and it was no problem for him to deal with 4 security guards alone. The Japanese soldier who was beaten half to death on the ground struggled to get up and shouted, "He is a psychopath. How could your hotel let a psychopath in? Hurry up and take him to the mental hospital and lock him up." Rampaging Manzai looked very ferocious, and his eyes looked like he wanted to kill someone. He couldn't utter complete sentences but just shouted, "Bad guy." The onlookers didn't know the truth and thought he was really a mentally ill man who was crazy and hurting people, so they all agreed to lock Manzai up. 2 fists were no match for many hands, and Manzai was finally subdued by the security personnel. He screamed angrily like a wounded beast, staring at the Japanese devils. The Japanese soldier felt guilty and dared not look him in the face, but he had murderous intentions in his heart. He planned to quietly kill this lunatic when he was least prepared. He had worked hard to get his current position, which must not be destroyed by a lunatic. "Chi-Chi, yeah," Manzai shouted at the top of his lungs, and Chi-Chi told him that if he encountered danger, he should call her and Ye, and they would come to rescue him. Ruan Chi-Chi and his friend's box was at the end of the corridor, some distance away from the toilet, and Lu Yi was the first to hear it. He was picking up a piece of pork chop and was about to put it in his mouth when he heard Manzai's cry. He immediately put down his chopsticks, stood up, and left. Manzai is in danger. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Yi had already reached the door. Wan Chi-Chi also stood up, and the 2 of them walked out quickly. Guan Jihua and Mr. Liu reacted a little slowly, but they followed quickly. Zhang Zigua and his daughter were at the back and hadn't figured out the situation yet. 2 sturdy security guards escorted Manzai to the lobby, where they ran into Wan Chi-Chi and the others who had rushed out. "What are you going to do? Let him go." Lu Yi rushed over in one step, and with both hands, he restrained the 2 men. His arms felt numb, and he let go involuntarily. Manzai swiftly jumped behind Lu Yi and cried out in grievance, Yeah, they're bad guys, the Japanese devils. We are from the hotel security department. How could it be the Japanese? Comrade, your brother was causing trouble in the restroom and beating up Deputy Director Ma of the Ministry of Commerce. That's why we attacked him." The security personnel quickly explained that Lu Yi was wearing a military uniform and looked very impressive, so they did not dare to underestimate him and were particularly polite to him. "I was entertaining VIPs at the hotel, and this psychopath beat me up for using the restroom. He also accused me of being a Japanese soldier. This is outrageous. If there is a psychopath, lock him up and don't let him out to hurt people. He's like a mad dog. It's really unlucky." Deputy Director Ma cleaned himself up a bit, but he was still in a very sorry state, with a bruised face and torn clothes. He pointed at Manzai in frustration, looking aggrieved as if he had been wronged. "Little devil, I'll beat you to death." Manzai went berserk again and pounced forward with a roar. Before Deputy Director Ma could withdraw his hand, he was pinned to the ground and beaten violently. "Give me back my Aunt Hung Yu, Uncle Yu, and Uncle Ian. You killed them, you bad guy. As Manzai was beaten, tears came to his eyes. Gentle Aunt Hongyu would tell him interesting stories, handsome Uncle Ian would teach him arithmetic, and Uncle Yu, who wore glasses like a father, would teach him to read and recite poems. But they all died in front of him, and died miserably. "I'm going to beat you to death."
Ah.
"I'm going to beat you to death." Furious, Manzai waved his fists again and again. He wanted to avenge Aunt Hongyu and the others and kill these hateful enemies. The security guard tried to stop him but was stopped by Mr. Liu. "I'm Liu Buxiang. I'll take responsibility if anything goes wrong." Mr. Liu spoke in a calm tone. He believed in his son and would definitely not wrongly accuse an innocent person. Xiangjiang Hotel is the most upscale hotel in Tanzhou City. Important VIPs are basically received by the hotel. As the hotel's security personnel, they are very familiar with the important figures in Tanzhou City. When they heard the name of Mr. Liu, they immediately fell silent. Their attitude became respectful, and they no longer cared about Deputy Director Ma's life or death. With the old leader taking care of things, what else do they have to worry about? It's none of their business, even if they are beaten to death. I know what Manzai went through during those 3 days. I know. Guan Jihua's eyes suddenly turned red, his voice choked, and he looked at Deputy Director Ma with hatred in his eyes. Manzai was taken away and locked up for 3 days. When he was sent back, he was unconscious and had a high fever that night. When he woke up, he had lost his memory of those 3 days. But I remember that Hongyu, Xiaoyin, and Laoyu died during those 3 days. It is said that there was no healthy skin on their bodies and all their bones were broken. Guan Jihua couldn't go on. She turned her back to calm herself down and continued. Hongyu often told Manzai stories. Xiaoyin taught Manzai arithmetic, and Laoyu, wearing glasses, taught Manzai to read and recite poems. Manzai also said that Uncle Yu was like his father. She choked, and tears welled up in her eyes. The experience in prison was an extremely painful memory for her. The memories were really suffocating. Mr. Liu patted her back gently. Manzai had the deepest feelings for the 3 of them. The enemy must have tortured them in front of Manzai and used inhumane punishments, killing them. That's why Manzai. Guan Jihua bit her lips tightly. She hated her own weakness and incompetence for not being able to protect her son, and she hated the enemy's cruelty even more. Manzai will be fine. Old Master Liu felt even more guilty in his heart, as the enemy had captured his wife and children in order to catch him. In a word, it was he who had implicated his wife and children. Wan Chichi stopped Manzai. If he continued to fight, Deputy Director Ma would definitely die. The Japanese deserve to die, but they haven't been interrogated yet. I told him that he was very kind to me, and he gave me a gift in return. He smelled like a bad guy. He was a Japanese. Manzai spoke quickly, mixing in Japanese and gesticulating as he spoke. No one around could understand him, but Grandpa Liu and Wan Chichi did. With Mr. Liu's order, the hotel responded very efficiently. In less than an hour, the police arrived and took Deputy Director Ma away. Investigate thoroughly and find out his accomplices, Mr. Liu said in a stern tone, completely different from his usual amiable appearance. Receive. The police saluted respectfully, because the person in front of them was their old leader, and even if they couldn't sleep, they had to find out the Japanese's accomplices. Manzai is awesome. Ruan Chichi gave a thumbs up and praised sincerely. Manzai is truly a genius as he was able to catch the Japanese while going to the toilet. Manzai is really capable. Can you support me in the future?
Luye Voket.
Okay, Manzi will raise Ye and Chichi as well. Manzai readily agreed and gently touched Liu Ye's head with a particularly kind look in his eyes. Yi is actually his cub. Chichi is also his child. His duty to raise the cub. Liu Yi and Wan Chichi didn't know that in Manzai's heart, he always treated them as little kids. The 2 elders smiled with great relief. They felt the changes in Manzai. Everything was developing in a good direction. It was all the blessing brought by Chichi and Liu Yi. By the Public Security Department soon produced results. Deputy Director Ma wanted to commit suicide but failed. Unlike other Japanese devils, he was a soft-hearted person. He confessed before he was even tortured and also revealed two of his corrupted accomplices. The two accomplices were both Chinese. They could not resist the temptation of money and became Deputy Director Ma's running dogs, collecting a lot of intelligence for him. The end of these three people must be death. Manzai also received a bonus of 200 yuan and a medal from the police, commending him for his heroic efforts in capturing the Japanese. Guan Jihua wiped the medal clean and placed it in the glass window of the living room, making it particularly conspicuous. Every guest who visits the Liu family will see this medal as soon as they enter the door. Guan Jihua and Grandpa Liu will explain the origin of the medal to the guests. The explanation must be at least 10,000 words, of which 9,900 words are praising their Manzai. This is a story for later. Let's get back to Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi. After dinner at the hotel, Wan Qiqi went home and asked about Zhang Zhigua on the way. She felt that the atmosphere between Mr. Liu and Zhang Zhigua was very subtle. Zhang Zhigua is a high-ranking official with great ambitions. He wants to win over Uncle Liu, but Uncle Liu doesn't want to get involved and refuses to return to the capital. Lu Yi gave a brief explanation and Wan Qiqi understood it immediately. The capital city is in a very chaotic state right now. Mr. Liu is wise, and it is best to stay out of it. Don't underestimate Zhang Zhigua, because he is in great shape now. He will be in trouble in the future. Wan Qiqi's tone was very certain that in just 5 years, Zhang Zhigua would be in trouble. She liked Zhang Weihong very much, so she would remind her if she had the chance to leave the Zhang family as soon as possible to avoid getting into trouble. July passed quickly, and in August, which was even hotter, Wan Qiqi captured a few Japanese devils, and his ranking rose to 5th. He became too lazy to go out, and decided to wait until the weather was cooler before going out again. She has been staying at home these days, eating bones or studying food during the day, and having love with Lu Yi at night. She is living a very happy life. Although she has been having children frequently, her belly is very stubborn and there has been no movement so far. Wan Qiqi made a pair of dragon and phoenix candlesticks. The skulls of Tanaka Ken and Su Xiaoying are both very beautiful, and the candlesticks made from them are very beautiful. She also made a lampshade using Su Xiaoying's raw materials and tattooed a red rose on it. Ian Lia's craftsmanship was very good and the lampshade was perfect. After the beginning of autumn in early August, the dog days became even hotter. Wan Qiqi prepared some refreshing and delicious side dishes and sent them to the farm in the evening with Lu Yi. Uncle Mo said that old man will be back in September. On the way, Lu Yi mentioned Lu Dishing's return. Lu Chunchao and Lu Hongba were both shot. Lu Hongling and Lu Hongtao will also have to spend several years in prison. The whole family is basically finished. Lu Dishing himself did not make any principled mistakes. In addition, he took the initiative to work in the cadre school with a very good attitude. With Mo Qiufeng's help, he will be able to resume his post next month. "Where's your mother?" Wan Qiqi asked. Uncle Mo said that next year, her problem will be a bit troublesome. Lu Yi curled his lips. "Your mother is quite lucky." Wan Qiqi felt a little emotional. Although Yuan Huilan was selfish, she was really lucky. Both of the men she married were not villains. Although Lu Dishing was a rough man, he had good character and did not take advantage of her misfortune to add insult to injury. Mo Qiufeng was cunning. He did not flee when disaster struck. He would find a way to protect her. She had read the history of this period and found that there were many cases of couples turning against each other and even biting each other. Cases like Lin Manyun and Mo Hepping were the norm. We arrived at the farm. It was getting dark. The farm was at the foot of a mountain, and it was quite cool at night, but there were a lot of mosquitoes, all of which were very poisonous mountain mosquitoes. The bites were extremely itchy, and if we scratched them, a big lump would appear and even bleed, and then become inflamed and ulcerated, leaving black scars. A gust of wind blew by, bringing with it a choking smoke that was made from burning mugwort, used to repel mosquitoes. The mugwort on the mountain is half a person's height. After being cut and dried, it is tied into a bunch, lit, and spread around the house to kill mosquitoes. Rural people cannot afford mosquito coils, so they use this method to repel mosquitoes. The door of Ludishing's room was wide open, but no one was there. He went to the front hall again. He never changes his bad habits. Lu Yi snorted, thinking that the old man would make a mistake sooner or later.
Hush.
Ruan Qiqi put her hand to her mouth, telling him to be quiet. The two tiptoed to Yuan Huilan's door, which was ajar. Yuan Huilan's voice came from inside. You all should leave. I'm fine here. Huilan, your problem is not serious. If I were to handle it, it wouldn't affect you at all. And with your ability, it's completely you are capable of handling more complex tasks, but you are content to stay in this small place like Tanzhou and be a small publicity director. What a pity. The man's voice was familiar, and every word he said was malicious. Ruan Qiqi and Lu Yi, each holding onto one side of the door frame, exchanged surprised looks. The man who sowed discord was actually Zhang Jigua. How did he come to the farm? What is the relationship between your mother and Zhang Jigua? Ruan Qiqi asked silently, extremely curious. Have no idea.
Lu Yi replied silently.
He also wanted to know, but he was not familiar with these people. Zhang Jigua, just say what you want to say. There's no need to be sarcastic. And who are you to see Huilan? Mo Qiufeng's usually gentle voice became much colder, and one could tell from the moment he heard it that he and Zhang Jigua did not get along, and he didn't even want to pretend. As a friend, Mo Qiufeng, I have known Huilan much earlier than you. Zhang Jigua sneered and looked at him openly, not hiding his thoughts at all. As a man, Mo Qiufeng saw through her at a glance and sneered. You are ready to make a move before your sister-in-law's body is cold. You are really a role model for others. Before Zhang Jigua joined the revolution, he was a primary school teacher and could be considered a gentleman. Mo Qiufeng knew Zhang Weihong's mother, who was very old-fashioned and serious, but a kind-hearted person. He first arrived at the base. He was unfamiliar with the work and was so busy that he had no time to take care of his two sons. He couldn't even guarantee 3 meals a day. Zhang's mother took the initiative to take the 2 children home to take care of them, which helped him a lot. Later, through the organization's introduction, he got together with Yuan Huilan, and his life returned to normal. Later, Zhang Jigua went to the capital, and he returned to Tanzhou, and they basically lost contact. However, Mo Qiufeng often went to the capital for meetings and often met with Zhang Jigua, but they did not talk. Mo Qiufeng would also go to visit Zhang Weihong's mother. After this woman went to the capital, her face became more sad and her health became worse. Perhaps death would be a relief for her. Mo Qiufeng, what qualifications do you have to blame me now? Zhang Jigua looked arrogant, like a villain who had succeeded in his career. In the past, his rank was lower than Mo Qiufeng, but now the situation was reversed, and Mo Qiufeng could not compare to him. And Yurt Songrong is determined to come to my house, and I don't have any objections. It's a pity that my Weihong looks down on Yurt Songrong. What a kid! Even if she looks down on him, she should have rejected him tactfully. How could she just turn him away in the middle of winter? It's too disrespectful to her uncle Mo. I'm here to apologize for this kid. Although Zhang Jigua apologized, his expression was particularly smug, and the look he gave Mo Qiufeng was even more provocative. It doesn't matter whether I come to your house or not. Now is a new society. Men and women are equal, and marriage is free. The children are grown up and have their own ideas. They don't need adults to control them. But I am still very glad that I didn't marry into your family. Otherwise, it would be really unlucky. Mo Qiufeng responded slowly and calmly. Although his voice was calm, his words were quite poisonous. Zhang Jigua's face changed. He sneered a few times and said sarcastically, I know you are being stubborn and trying to hold on, but I won't bother with you. Should I thank you, Mr. Zhang Jigua, for being so generous? No, just keep nitpicking. I want to see how nitpicking you are and what you can do to me. Mo Qiufeng snorted coldly, and the gentleness on his face completely disappeared, turning into a vicious-tongued king. On his territory, he would have lived in vain for decades. Yes, you two should go out and fight. Be a real man, don't just talk big, go for it. Lu Disheng was not afraid of the commotion and even rolled his eyes at Zhang Jigua. Although he didn't like Mo Qiufeng, he felt that Mo Qiufeng was much more pleasing to the eye compared to Zhang Jigua. What's it got to do with you? Why are you making such a fuss? Yuan Huilan scolded angrily. Are you feeling sorry for him? Yuan Huilan, who are you feeling sorry for? It's not your old lover, is it? Lu Disheng sneered sarcastically. He remembered all the grudges from decades ago and was furious. Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi, who were clinging to the door frame, looked at each other with astonishment in their big eyes. Your mother still has an old lover?
I just found out about that.
What do you know? Get out of here. Wan Qiqi pushed the person aside unhappily and leaned in with her ears pricked up, trying to hear more clearly. A love triangle involving one woman and 3 men. Yuan Huilan is so awesome. Lu Yi came closer again. He also wanted to listen. His father, his stepfather, his mother, and an old lover. It was such a mess. It was too exciting. You will regret it forever if you don't listen to him. Don't push. I'll tell you when we get back. Wan Qiqi refused to give in and did not try to coax the man sincerely. I have sharp ears. I'll tell you when I hear it. Lu Yi didn't want to give in either. Gossip is more interesting if you listen to it yourself. At home, now refused to give in because of gossip. Wan Qiqi clung to the door frame tightly, using all her strength to refuse to give in. Lu Yi didn't dare to pull her, so he had to stand on tiptoe, stretch his neck, and use his tall stature to try to reach inside. The 2 people who were fascinated by what they heard leaned forward more and more, and then, oops. The 2 of them fell in at the same time. Lu Yi reacted quickly, supporting himself with one hand and bouncing up. He also pulled his wife up and stood them neatly at the door. Everyone in the room looked towards the door, and the quarrel paused. Dad, why are you here again? Be careful not to be suspicious. Wan Qiqi took the initiative and put an accusation on Lu Disheng. That's right. The 2 guests in the front hall are here. You are running around so fast. Go back quickly. Lu Yi was quick with his words and actions. He walked over, pulled Lu Disheng, and walked out. What are you doing pulling me, you little brat? Let go. Who was dragged out of the door, finally came to his senses. He shook off his hand in annoyance and wanted to go back to watch the fun, but Lu Yi grabbed him by the collar and dragged him back. What does their business have to do with you? There's a stranger here. I have to persuade him. Lu Disheng said it nicely, but in fact he just wanted to watch the fun and was hoping that Mo Qiufeng and Zhang Jigua would fight. Dad, is Zhang Jigua really our mom's old lover? Tell me about it. Wan Qiqi asked curiously. What are you asking about, kid? Lu Disheng glared and refused to gossip about his ex-wife. Dad, do you still want to eat cumi fish? Wan Qiqi threatened openly. Lu Disheng loves to eat cumi fish, so she sends him a jar every once in a while. If the old man refuses to share gossip, she will stop feeding him. Don't give me the meat, Lu Yi said even more cruelly. Lu Disheng gritted his teeth and wanted to beat these 2 rebellious sons to death, but the fish was so delicious that he couldn't stop eating the meat. Zhang Jigua was interested in your mother before and wanted to divorce Tonka. He was criticized and educated by his superiors. Later, your mother married Mo Qiufeng. Lu Disheng succinctly recounted what happened that year. He only found out later that he was rumored to have died that year. Yuan Huilan was a young and beautiful widow who was extremely popular and had many pursuers. Zhang Jigua was the most enthusiastic among them. At that time, Zhang Jigua did not bring his wife and children over. Yuan Huilan did not know that he was married and was very close to him. If nothing unexpected happened, she would have married Zhang Jigua. But Zhang Jigua's wife followed him with their daughter. When Yuan Huilan found out, she immediately proposed to break up. Zhang Jigua wanted to divorce, but when he brought it up at home, his wife hanged herself and made a big fuss. The leader talked to Zhang Jigua, and he gave up the idea. He took the initiative to transfer to work elsewhere and separated from Yuan Huilan. Zhang Jigua's wife just died. He wouldn't want to steal Uncle Mo's girl, right? Wan Qiqi had a bold guess. The 3rd update is finished. It's been a while since I asked for gifts. Darlings, please give the author some 5-star reviews and free gifts to boost his morale, okay? That shouldn't be the case. Your mother isn't that kind of person. Lu Disheng's tone was not very sure, but he felt that if Yuan Huilan had any brains, she would not choose Zhang Zhigua. Although they are both pretending to be cultured people, Mo Qiufeng is much better than Zhang Zhigua. Zhang Zhigua is a sinister villain. If you are with such a person, you will definitely not end up well. Wan Qiqi curled her lips and said nothing. But I feel in my heart that this may not be the case for Yuan Huilan. She secretly analyzed Yuan Huilan's character. This woman was a very contradictory person. She kept shouting about freedom, democracy, and equality between men and women, but she was actually a man-fawning person in her heart. In other words, Yuan Huilan's independence is inseparable from the support of men. She couldn't stand on her own, just like a vine. Without the trees she was climbing, she was just a weak blade of grass. Therefore, as soon as she learned that Lu Disheng had been sacrificed, she couldn't wait to get together with Zhang Zhigua. When she learned that he had a family, she quickly married Mo Qiufeng. There was not much buffer period in between. In general, Yuan Huilan is an egoist who can't live without men. She might really choose Zhang Zhigua. After all, this man is now of a higher rank than Mo Qiufeng. Huilan, I'm going back to Beijing tomorrow. This is my phone number. If you have any problems, you can contact me. Zhang Zhigua's voice came over. He left his phone number, gave Mo Qiufeng a provocative look, and walked away with a swagger. Mo Qiufeng had a sharp eye that could see through the world. When he saw Yuan Huilan accept the phone number, his eyes grew a little colder, but he did not show it. I have taught Heping a lesson. She will not bother you again. Just work hard on the farm. I will find a way to bring you back to the city next year. Mo Qiufeng's tone was still gentle. He came here specifically to talk to Yuan Huilan about this matter, but he didn't expect to meet Zhang Zhigua head-on. Will I continue to do my original job after returning to the city? Yuan Huilan asked.
Yes.
I have been the deputy director for 10 years. Every time I was promoted to the position of full-time director, you always put pressure on me. Lao Mo, do you also think that I am not capable of being the full-time director? Yuan Huilan's tone became more and more aggressive. Zhang Zhigua's words stirred up quite a stir in her heart. She was very confident in her talent and had ambition, but Mo Qiufeng had no ambition at all. He had refused many opportunities to go to the capital over the years. They had argued about this many times. Yuan Huilan wanted to go to Beijing to make her mark, but Mo Qiufeng was content to stay in Tanzhou and even stopped her from moving up. She had been the deputy director of the propaganda department for 10 years. Those women who were not as good as her in the past are now doing very well in the capital. Yuan Huilan often thinks that if she had gone to the capital back then, she would definitely do better than those people. The current situation in the capital is not suitable for development. It is better to stay in Tanzhou. At least it is safe. Mo Qiufeng patiently advised that Yuan Huilan was indeed capable at work, but the capital was full of hidden talents, and there were many people who were better than her. Besides, the capital was in chaos now, and going there would only bring trouble. It would be better for her to stay in Tanzhou and live a leisurely life. You always say that, but Zhang Zhigua has done very well. He was not as good as you before, but now, Yuan Huilan blurted out, then she reacted and swallowed the rest of the words. Mo Qiufeng understood immediately after hearing this. He smiled and said, I am indeed not as good as him now. Lao Mo, that's not what I meant. I just think it's a pity for you to stay in Tanzhou with your talent. If you go to the capital, you will definitely be more powerful than Zhang Zhigua. Yuan Huilan quickly explained that she hoped Mo Qiufeng would go to the capital so that she could also develop in the capital and no longer have to stay in the small place of Tanzhou. I won't go, and I advise you not to go either. Mo Qiufeng was firm that he would retire after working for another 10 years or so and become a free and easy man. He would not get involved in the muddy waters of the capital. Yuan Huilan bit her lip, looking very unwilling. I'm going back. You should go to bed early. Mo Qiufeng felt a little disappointed. He felt that there was a huge gap between him and Yuan Huilan, and it was very likely that their fate as husband and wife had really come to an end. Huilan, as long as you stay in Tanzhou, I can ensure that you will live a safe and worry-free life. Mo Qiufeng said again. What am I doing here now? Yuan Huilan had a sarcastic look on her face. If she really wanted to be safe for the rest of her life, she wouldn't be working on the farm, and she would have to work until next year. She is not afraid of hardship, but she doesn't want to suffer hardships that she shouldn't have to endure. Lao Mo, don't you consider me as a family member? Yuan Huilan suddenly asked. We are husband and wife, and of course we are a family. You will be safer here. You can reform for a year, or so, to shut up some people. When you go back to work next year, those people will have nothing to say. Huilan, I have analyzed the current situation with you, and you should understand. Mo Qiufeng patiently explained that the situation was indeed very tense, and that having Yuan Huilan come to work on the farm was the most appropriate arrangement at the moment. Moreover, he had already informed the farm that Yuan Huilan would not be assigned to do any hard work. She would be able to return to the city next year, so this little hardship was nothing. I understand. You can go back. Yuan Huilan interrupted him in a harsh tone. Mo Qiufeng sighed lightly and left the farm. He had already foreseen the outcome, and he had tried his best to make amends. No matter what the outcome was, he could accept it. Yuan Huilan felt unhappy as she watched his back getting farther and farther away, but when she thought of what Zhang Zigua had said, her resentment grew even deeper. Zhang Zigua said that with Mo Qiufeng's power in Tanzhou City, her problem was nothing and she didn't need to suffer on the farm. However, Mo Qiufeng did not try to protect her, which meant that he did not consider her as his own. Zhang Zigua also said that he had killed Mo Qiufeng's previous wife with his own hands. Huilan, Mo Qiufeng is a cold-blooded man. He loves no one but himself. If you live with such a man, there will be no good results. Zhang Zigua's voice was still clear in Yuan Huilan's ears, and her heart became more and more wavering. She knew that the mother of Mo Jinsong and his brothers was shot to death by Mo Qiufeng himself. Although it was for the revolution, it was still a little hard for her to accept. No wonder the relationship between Mo Jinsong and Mo Qiufeng was so delicate. Yuan Huilan was alone in the room thinking about something, without even turning on the lights. Lu Disheng's house across the street was brightly lit, with several dishes on the table, including fish and meat, which was very sumptuous. Where is Aunt Lin? Wan Qiqi asked. I asked for leave, and went into the city. Lu Disheng ate his meal in big mouthfuls and answered casually. You and Aunt Lin haven't rekindled your old love, right? Wan Qiqi asked suddenly. Cough, cough, cough. Lu Disheng had just taken a bite of the fish when the chili pepper choked his trachea. He started coughing violently, and his face turned the color of liver. Lu Yi patted him hard on the back, and Wan Qiqi handed him some water, and Lu Disheng finally calmed down. What nonsense are you talking about? I never look back. Lu Disheng glared at him unhappily and continued eating. Lin Manyun is very vicious. If you can't attack here, just write letters to her 2 sons and ask them to strive for second-class merit to facilitate her return to the city. Lu Yi said coldly. Lu Jiafeng mentioned this in the letter and asked Wan Qiqi to tell Lin Manyun that they were unable to win the second-class merit due to their limited abilities, and asked Lin Manyun to reform herself while on the farm. Lu Disheng's face darkened, and he slammed his chopsticks heavily on the table, cursing. What is she thinking? Doesn't she know the significance of the liberation and aid to Korea? And you let them win the second-class merit. Do you want to kill them? His 2 sons were. He sent them to the border not expecting them to achieve merit, but just wanted to kill their arrogance and turn them into real soldiers. Lin Manyun, on the other hand, has raised her 2 sons like a woman and now wants them to eat a big bun all at once and win a second-class merit. This is even more immoral than pulling up the seedlings to help them grow. She is trying to kill her sons. Darn it. When this Sich comes back, he will definitely scold her to death. You are the one who caused her to behave like this. Lu Yi snorted and said something sarcastic. Lu Disheng's expression froze and he sighed. He lost his appetite for the delicious food on the table. It was indeed his fault. He allowed Lu Chuancao's family to escape, and also allowed the poisonous snake Lin Manyun to escape. Alas! Why don't you light the lamp? Ouch, I almost fell to death. Lin Manyun's surprised voice was heard outside. She had just returned from the city and fell as soon as she entered the door. Lu Disheng stood up suddenly, with a gloomy face, rushed out and kicked the door open. There was a loud bang, and both Yuan Huilan and Lin Manyun were startled. "Lu Dishing, what do you want to do?" Lin Manyun screamed. "You are a vicious woman with a heart of a scorpion. Not only did you abuse Xiao Yi, you even murdered the people who helped liberate Korea. They are your own children, right? Are you still a human being?" The angry Lu Dishing raised his hand and slapped Lin Manyun several times. He had no habit of not beating women. No matter whether they were men or women, as long as they violated his taboos, he would beat them. Lin Manyun was crying and shouting and rolling on the ground, attracting quite a few people. Everyone came to mediate and advised Lu Dishing to talk it out nicely. "If you dare to write to the Liberation and aid Korea again, I will beat you to death." Lu Dishing made a harsh statement that Lin Manyun was not allowed to contact her two sons, saying that she was not worthy. "They are my sons too. Why don't you allow me to contact them?" Lin Manyun cried and felt so wronged. "You are such a vicious woman. You don't deserve it. Even a tiger won't eat its own cubs, but you want to harm your own son. You are worse than a beast." The more Lu Dishing cursed, the angrier he became, and his palms itched, but he still restrained himself and did not hit the woman again. "I am not a gentleman. If you dare to write a letter to the Liberation and aid Korea, I will beat you to death." Lu Dishing's eyes were fierce and murderous. Lin Manyun had never seen him like this before. She was so scared that she was trembling with fear, and her face was pale. Lu Yi and Ruan Chichi watched coldly from the side, without any sympathy at all. This woman deserved it, because of what she had done to herself. Lu Dishing went back angrily to eat, and everyone else left. Only the sobbing Lin Manyun and the upset Yuan Huilan were left in the room, and Ruan Chichi and his wife who were standing at the door watching the fun. "Stop crying." Yuan Huilan became more and more annoyed by the crying and shouted angrily. Lin Manyun's crying paused for a few seconds, and soon she became tough again and said, "I cry for my own sake. What's it got to do with you?" She was afraid of Lu Dishing, but not Yuan Huilan. "I've been on the farm for transformation for so long, but I haven't seen Mo Chiofeng come to see me many times." "Humph, maybe in a few days, Mo Chiofeng will file for divorce. Husband and wife are birds of the same forest, but when disaster strikes, they fly away separately. Who is nobler than who? If you want to cry, go outside. You're already old and still crying. What else can you do besides crying, Lin Manyun?" Yuan Huilan stood up angrily, walked over, and dragged the man out. "Let me go, Yuan Huilan. Why are you showing off in front of me? You are the same as me now, not superior to me. How many times has Mo Chiofeng come to see you? 3 times? The next time he comes to see you, I will definitely divorce you. Your current status is more poisonous than poison. Anyone who has anything to do with you will be unlucky." "Humph, why are you so arrogant in front of me?" Lin Manyun was dragged out repeatedly, and she was so angry that she started cursing. "I am not you, a daughter that can only survive by relying on men. Lin Manyun, don't look at me with your narrow-minded thinking. You don't deserve it." Yuan Huilan sneered with a look of contempt. She is an independent and self-reliant new age woman, qualitatively different from a daughter like Lin Manyun. "Oh, you said it better than singing. It's true that I rely on men, but how noble are you? At that time, it was just rumored that old Lu had died, but you couldn't wait even a year and hurried to marry Mo Chiofeng. In order to please him, you even ignored your own son and kept trying to curry favor with your 2 stepsons. Yuan Huilan, I was not nice to Lu Yi, but I am his stepmother. You, as his biological mother, have never cared about his own son's life or death. You are selfish and cold-blooded. You say you are self-reliant, but you actually curry favor with men. What the heck are you qualified to say that I am narrow-minded?" Lin Manyun simply gave it her all, cursing and exposing Yuan Huilan's hypocritical mask. "Don't look at me with your narrow-minded and backward ideas. I am completely different from you." Yuan Huilan, whose sore spot was hit, yelled in anger and shame. She dragged the man out of the door and happened to see Lu Yi and his wife. She was stunned for a moment and felt a little uneasy in her heart. "Do not flatter yourself. You and I are no different, but you are a bigger failure than me. You are an outsider in the Mo family. Have Mo Jinsong and his brother ever come to see you? Your biological daughter, Mo Heping, is hoping that you will divorce her, so as not to implicate her. Not to mention your biological son. He doesn't even recognize you as his mother. Yuan Huilan. Oh, Yuan Huilan. Why are you so proud? Lin Manyan became more and more proud as she spoke, and taking advantage of Yuan Huilan's distraction, she pushed her away. Yuan Huilan was pushed back repeatedly and almost fell down, looking a little embarrassed. When she saw Lu Ye's indifferent expression, her heart instantly turned cold and she suddenly became discouraged. Lin Manyan was right. She was indeed a loser. She had fallen out with her family, married 2 husbands, but failed to manage their marriages, and her children were also indifferent to her. Now she was a lonely person who was abandoned by everyone. It's none of your business what happens to me. No matter how bad I am, it's not your turn to laugh at my joke. Yuan Huilan suppressed her sadness, cheered herself up, pinned Lin Manyan to the ground, and beat her up. After the fight, Yuan Huilan tidied her clothes and glanced at Lu Yi and the others with a complicated look. She said nothing and went into the house. Lin Manyan lay on the ground groaning, tears streaming down her face. She was beaten twice in one night. She was the most pitiful person in the world. She